Chapter 5542. The little maid was also stunned when she saw this scene. Lin Xian used his demonic qi to form a token and flew in front of the little maid. Then, it fused into his glabella. He said, "From now on, the entire sea demon clan will listen to you, and from now on, you are no longer a little maid. You are called the Sea Demoness. Yes, the Sea Demoness greets the young master. From now on, I swear to follow the young master to the death, even if it means risking my life." At this moment, Lin Xian had subdued another powerful force. When the big octopus saw this, it was also stunned. "I am also willing to follow the young master," Lin Xian said. "Okay, then you can stay by the Sea Demoness side and assist her from now on." The big octopus was very excited. If it could follow such a person, and Lin Xian became a great emperor in the future, then it would have a meteoric rise. So, how could it not be happy? While they were excited here, at the same time, another earth-shattering rumble came from the depths of the demon sea. The big octopus felt this aura and also prostrated on the ground. What a terrifying aura! Why do I feel a trace of Emperor's might? Lin Xian also frowned. He knew that the people he had sealed had come out. As expected of a quasi-emperor, their speed was so fast. He said to the Sea Demoness and led the people away. "Yes, master." The Sea Demoness and the big octopus led the people of the Sea Demon clan into the sky. They left the underwater canyon. Lin Xian's figure flashed and flew towards the underwater canyon. He didn't have much time. He had to hurry. He felt that there was indeed a kind of summoning below, because when he condensed the demon emperor's figure previously, he felt that it was different from before. His illusionary demon scripture also felt a mysterious summoning. It should be something left behind by the demon emperor. So he sped up. At the same time, the demon slayer quasi-emperor also walked out. He said, "Follow me to hunt down that brat." The old man leading the desolate tomb said, "Lord Quasi-Emperor, please go first. We have to collect some things." "Why, do you want to escape?" The demon slayer Quasi-Emperor snorted. Cowardly ants. The three of them had ugly expressions on their faces as they said, "Lord Quasi-Emperor, you're overthinking things. We are not running away. We are going to call back the remaining ancient coffins. The 8 ancient coffins could have formed a peerless formation, but we were careless and didn't have the chance to use it. Several of our companions have fallen, but the ancient coffin is still here, so we have to take it back." After saying that, the three of them moved quickly. "All right, I'll be waiting for you." The demon slayer quasi-emperor's figure flashed as he flew into the distance. He could sense Lin Xian's aura, but found that Lin Xian's aura was becoming more and more indistinct. He absolutely could not allow the other party to disappear. He rushed over. Soon, he arrived at the underwater canyon. Looking at the canyon in front of him, he frowned. "Humph, do you think you can escape my pursuit by hiding here? What a joke!" With a flash, he flew into the canyon. It was unknown if the canyon was connected to the 9 Serenities Hell, but it was extremely deep. He couldn't see the end of it. After Lin Xian reached a certain depth, he slowed down. This was because he felt a terrifying aura around him, terrifying demonic qi, terrifying demonic blood, and another force. That force didn't belong to the demon emperor, but it was equally terrifying. It was obvious that the demon emperor and his enemies had stayed here for a long time. Lin Xian kept ascending until he finally arrived at the bottom of the canyon. The bottom of the canyon was unusually vast. It was very quiet here without a single sound. There was only the sound of Lin Xian's footsteps. Lin Xian began to search, but his brows were tightly knitted together because he didn't find anything. Could it be that he had guessed wrong? He saw that there were only some gravel on the ground of the canyon. According to his speculation, the Sea Demon Clan's Highness should have obtained the fragment in this canyon. However, the other party shouldn't have had the chance to come to the deepest part. He should have obtained it near the canyon. There should be another treasure in the depths of this canyon. However, he didn't expect to find that there was nothing here after he came down. Lin Xian frowned. He took out the fragment he had obtained. After taking it out, the fragment also emitted a mysterious light. In fact, it even shook slightly. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. It seemed that there should be something, but it was hidden too deep, and he hadn't discovered it yet. At the same time, he discovered that this place had changed. Not only was it quiet, but a terrifying force surged out. It caused his 9-yang divine body to emit cracking sounds. A powerful pressure descended from the sky. Lin Xian took a deep breath. This place was indeed strange. Just as he was about to probe further, he stopped. He looked up at the sky and sighed. As expected, it came. Lin Xian didn't act rashly. At the same time, a figure quickly descended from the sky. With a boom, it landed at the bottom of the canyon, causing the entire canyon to shake slightly. An aura swept out in all directions. "Kid, run. Let's see how you escape from my grasp." The person who landed was tall and big. It was the demon slayer. He stared at Lin Xian and sneered. However, not long after, he frowned. "Damn it, what's going on? Where is this place?" Previously, he only paid attention to Lin Xian and didn't care about anything else. Moreover, with his cultivation as a quasi-emperor, there were only a few places in this world that he couldn't go. He didn't care about other places at all. However, when he sensed the aura here, his expression changed. This was because he felt a huge pressure pressing down on him from all directions. It wanted to tear his body into pieces. "Damn it!" he shouted angrily, and an indestructible battle intent erupted from his body, forming an indestructible armor to block it. At the same time, he looked around. This place was very desolate. There were no plants, only the ground and gravel. Other than that, there was only Lin Xian. "Damn kid, where is this place?" He glared at Lin Xian fiercely. Lin Xian sneered. "This is your burial ground." "Humph, stupid thing. Do you think you can kill me by luring me to such a strange place? This place may be terrifying, but it's still impossible to kill me. I'm a quasi-emperor. You don't understand the power of a quasi-emperor." The demon slayer quasi-emperor snorted. Although this place was mysterious, he wasn't afraid of anything. Not only was he a quasi-emperor, but he also came from a forbidden land. He was experienced and knowledgeable, and had seen all kinds of scenes. Although the place in front of him was mysterious, he felt that he could still control it. He opened his armor to block the pressure. However, in the ground beneath their feet, a black shadow quietly spread out and swept towards them. Lin Xian and the demon slayer quasi-emperor didn't notice this at all. By the time they noticed, it was already too late. Chapter 55-43. The mysterious shadow entangled them and restrained them in an instant. "What are you? Get lost!" The demon slayer quasi-emperor roared. Murderous intent appeared on his body as he began to attack. However, the black shadow did not shatter. Instead, it grew bigger with his body and kept shaking. On the other side, Lin Xian also frowned. He also realized that the thing that wrapped around his body was actually kelp. Kelp was very common at the bottom of the sea, but this was not normal. DeLong said, "Kid, be careful." The kelp grew up after absorbing the blood of the demon emperor. They are very terrifying. I don't think your divine body can break through them. However, you are the successor of the demon emperor. If you use the illusory demon crystal scripture, they will not attack you. Hearing DeLong's words, Lin Xian took a deep breath and quickly used the illusory demon scripture. Demonic patterns appeared on his body, and a terrifying demonic chi appeared. Sensing this familiar aura, the black kelp quickly retreated. Soon, Su Chun was no longer controlled. He heaved a sigh of relief. That moment just now was really too terrifying. It made his hair stand on end. As expected of the place where the demon emperor was injured, it was indeed terrifying. In addition, he looked up and saw that the demon slayer quasi-emperor in front of him was also roaring crazily. Lin Xian was even more surprised that the kelp did not shatter. Even the quasi-emperor could not do anything to it. Lin Xian smiled. Didn't you say you wanted to kill the demon emperor? These are all condensed from the blood of the demon emperor. Let's see how you kill them. Lin Xian sneered. Demonic qi surrounded his body, causing the surrounding kelp to all circle around him. Instead, they attacked the demon slayer quasi-emperor crazily. Soon, the demon slayer quasi-emperor was surrounded and wrapped up like a dumpling. The demon slayer quasi-emperor's face was hideous. Crackling sounds came from his body. Obviously, he was also under great pressure. Damn it! My fighting spirit is not extinguished. At this moment, he suddenly roared. The inextinguishable seed between his brows kept erupting. At the same time, a sonorous sound came from his body. His entire body seemed to have turned into a peerless blade that began to sweep in all directions. The sky and earth cracked. The kelp shattered like silk and scattered on the ground. Humph! Nothing can stop me, Demon Slayer coldly shouted. Lin Xian was also surprised. As expected of a true quasi-emperor, he was indeed powerful. That strike just now also made his hair stand on end, as if he had been split open. However, those broken black kelp actually healed again like earthworms. His broken body actually reassembled and recovered. Once again, they charged towards Demon Slayer. The Demon Slayer roared. He raised his hand and waved his saber wildly to block the attack. This time, he was truly enraged. His heaven-shaking power exploded, and the immortal energy seed also condensed. Only then did it manage to block the black kelp. The next moment he raised his head and stared at Lin Xian with a terrifying light. His eyes were filled with a terrifying killing intent. Brat, let's see who can save you this time. We're here too. At this moment, another angry roar came from the sky. Then, 8 rays of light pierced through the air and arrived at the canyon at the bottom of the sea. Lin Xian frowned when he saw the 8 lights, 8 ancient coffins. Did the people from Huangling City come again? 8 ancient coffins floated in the sky, but only 3 of them were open. Someone came out from inside, and the rest were all dead. How dare the 3 of you come back? Aren't you afraid that I will send you to hell? Lin Xian sneered. Brat, we have always remembered this grudge. Although they are dead, their ancient coffins are still here. They can form a terrifying Great Barren formation that can take away all life. Let's see how you can block it. The leading old man shouted angrily and set up the formation. The 8 ancient coffins flew in all directions, covering the sky and covering the earth. An extremely terrifying aura of death and desolation spread out. Demon Slayer also rose into the sky, and the power on his body became more and more terrifying. Obviously, the 2 of them wanted to join forces to kill Lin Xian here. Lin Xian's face darkened. You want to kill me? You don't have the right to do so? Although the 2 of them were very powerful when they joined forces, Lin Xian had many trump cards. This time, he even brought half of the sky-devouring jar with him. That was half an extreme weapon, and it was absolutely terrifying. Hence, Lin Xian was not afraid at all. He took a deep breath and was about to use the sky-devouring jar. However, at this moment, the ground split open. A black shadow rose into the sky again, and Lin Xian quickly retreated. Even DeLong was shocked. He did not expect the kelp to have absorbed so much demon archblood. Had it grown to such a level? The sky darkened, and the kelp was tens of thousands of miles long, bearing its fangs and claws like a demon. As soon as it appeared, it swept across the world. The 8 ancient coffins were all entangled, and they shook. Damn it, what is this? The face of the leader of the wild forest elder turned extremely ugly. Demon Slayer also shouted angrily. Again, he waved his arms, forming a terrifying demon-killing battle saber. It swept in all directions. It collided with the black kelp. The kelp used softness to conquer strength, and it wrapped around the battle saber, sealing it. The scene was extremely strange. Lin Xian quickly used the illusion demon scripture, and demonic aura surged from his body. Demon Slayer, Quasi-Emperor said, "Quick, don't let him escape. Use all your strength." As he spoke, he stomped his feet, and his body became extremely terrifying, as if he had turned into a giant. Another black steel appeared in his hand, and the inextinguishable battle intent on it was even more terrifying. Inextinguishable, suppressing the heavens. With a roar, the black steel enlarged, and it was tens of thousands of meters long. It was as if an ancient mountain had descended from the sky, and it suppressed all the kelp. On the other side, the leading old man also shouted angrily, and the 8 ancient coffins rotated, as if they had opened the gates to hell. The aura of death from inside was like seawater. It enveloped the surrounding black kelp. After the demonic blood kelp was enveloped, their vitality was quickly taken away. It had to be said that the two of them had really used all their strength this time. The power was extremely terrifying, and they quickly charged toward Lin Xian. Lin Xian frowned. They were indeed difficult to deal with. Since that was the case, he would not hold back. The sword Qi on his body soared into the sky, and he was about to attack. However, at this moment, the void behind him cracked open, and a bolt of lightning struck him again, sending him flying. What was that? Lin Xian shouted angrily. His body was about to shatter. At the critical moment, he used the Heaven's battle map to cover his body. Only then did he manage to block the attack. She suddenly turned around and saw that it was a bolt of black lightning that kept dancing. Its speed was extremely fast. Lin Xian's face was extremely cold, and he used his Rinnegan to look forward. This was, before he could react, the void around him kept shattering, and black lightning bolts appeared one after another. Those lightning bolts were not big, only the size of a palm, but there were too many of them. They covered the sky and covered the earth. In an instant, tens of thousands of them appeared, and the number was still increasing. Those lightning bolts moved together and danced in all directions, instantly piercing through heaven and earth. Even the demon blood sea was pierced through. The 8 ancient coffins were also impacted and let out an earth-shaking sound. Countless thunderous sounds rang out. The 3 ancient powerhouses who were still alive were also shaken to the point that their blood was boiling. A few of them were even pierced through and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. The Demon Slayer Quasi-Emperor was also impacted. As a Quasi-Emperor, he was powerful and could withstand it. However, when he saw tens of thousands of black lightning bolts surging over, he could only temporarily dodge. He tore open the void and quickly dodged. After tens of thousands of black lightning bolts, the number was still increasing. It increased to 100,000 black lightning bolts. Lin Xian's reincarnation tunnel was pierced through. He took out the Heaven's battle map. Even the Heaven's battle map was shaken and dimmed from the impact. Damn it, what the hell is this thing? Why do I still feel a trace of Emperor's might? The old man on the other side of the desolate tomb was also screaming crazily. He was really too scared. This black kelp was formed by absorbing the blood of the demon emperor. It had the emperor's might. However, this black lightning also had the emperor's might. And it was not the demon emperor's might. It was another kind of great earth emperor. Heavens, what was going on? Why was it other than the demon emperor? Had other great emperors been here? And they also stayed here. Lin Xian was even more shocked. Legend had it that the demon emperor had fought with someone back then and was even injured here. Who was his opponent? There had been no records. Now, another kind of great emperor's power had appeared. Could it be that the one who fought with the demon emperor back then was also a kind of great emperor? But it shouldn't be. Wasn't there only one great emperor at a time? Lin Xian was very confused. However, there was no time for him to think too much. Even though he now had the demonic qi and the power of the demon emperor, those black lightning bolts did not seem to let him go. They rushed towards him in an overwhelming manner. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The heavens battle map and the Taiji diagram kept appearing. The 6 paths of reincarnation swept in all directions. The sword Qi even split open the sky and fought with these black lightning bolts. Damn it. What the hell was this thing? The experts on the other side of the barren forest also roared madly. Lin Xian used his Rinnegan to see clearly that these black lightning bolts were tadpoles. Each black lightning bolt was a tadpole. Now, there were 100,000 tadpoles fighting with them. These were not ordinary tadpoles. They were even more powerful than exotic beasts. One had to know how powerful Lin Xian and the others were. But now, they were helpless against these tadpoles. Even Demon Slayer was roaring furiously. He also noticed the black tadpoles. He roared angrily. A mere tadpole dared to contend against him? Demon Slayer. He slashed out with his saber, splitting the heavens and the earth. Finally, some of the tadpoles were split apart. Roar. Those tadpoles roared crazily. At this moment, the void behind him shattered, and another huge black tadpole flew out. This tadpole was really too big, like a huge mountain. It stood there. Ignorant humans actually came to the sleeping land at the bottom of the sea and knelt down to accept death. His cold voice was filled with boundless power. Lin Xian was surprised. These were really terrifying beasts. He frowned. Demon Slayer, on the other hand, was cold. Humph! How dare you ants make me kneel down? The power in his body became even more terrifying. Me? Hearing this, the tadpole leader also frowned. He looked carefully. The next moment he sneered. So, you're just a quasi-emperor. You're just a quasi-emperor. You don't have the right to be presumptuous here. The people of the Barren Spirit tribe gasped. Someone didn't even put a quasi-emperor in his eyes? Even Lin Xian was surprised. This group of tadpoles had extraordinary origins. The tadpole leader snorted and swallowed them. In the surroundings, the 100,000 tadpoles once again charged over, turning into black lightning bolts. The terrifying power was enough to pierce through everything. Lin Xian also made his move. The hell sword slashed in all directions. It carried the sword intent of a dragon and was indestructible. The tadpoles that were close to him were all killed. All of them were chopped into pieces, and miserable screams could be heard. In addition, Demon Slayer also displayed the power of a quasi-emperor and began to counterattack. The 3 experts of the Barren Spirit tribe were no match for him, but the Barren Death formation they formed was extremely terrifying. The 8 ancient coffins were made of an unknown material. Under such an impact, they were not destroyed, not even a crack. It was really too magical. Just like that, Lin Xian and the other 2 forces began to fight against these black tadpoles. Gradually, more and more black tadpoles fell. The tadpole leader was also angry. How dare you kill us? You're dead meat. He roared at the sky, his body swayed, and the entire demon sea trembled. A terrifying killing intent swept in all directions, and even more tadpoles appeared in the surroundings. Attack him! Demon Slayer Quasi-Emperor's scalp went numb when he saw this scene. He roared and charged towards the tadpole leader. The Barren Death formation also swept out. Lin Xian frowned. He had a nagging feeling that something was amiss, because the fragment he obtained from the Sea Demon Royal Highness was shaking violently, as if it was about to fly away. If it weren't for him tightly holding onto it, it would have flown away long ago. In the end, Lin Xian could only use the power of the heaven-devouring jar to create a black vortex. It enveloped the other party. It seemed that something incredible was about to come out. Lin Xian was surrounded by a black vortex to defend himself. In front of him, Demon Slayer Quasi-Emperor, the people of the Barren Tomb, and the Tadpole leader were fighting. The Tadpole leader was extremely terrifying. However, the other party was not a Quasi-Emperor and was still not a match for a Quasi-Emperor. However, there were too many tadpoles around him. Once 100,000 tadpoles appeared, it was enough to fight against a Quasi-Emperor. The more Demon Slayer Quasi-Emperor fought, the more difficult it became for him. He roared at the sky. The Demon Slayer blade had become even more terrifying. However, at this moment, a ray of light flew out between heaven and earth and slashed forward. Demon Slayer's expression changed. He was hit by this ray of light and was sent flying, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. Many of the bones in his body were broken. The 8 ancient temples were also sent flying, their surfaces dim and lacking radiance. Lin Xian was also hit, but he was already prepared. He used the devouring vortex to block this attack. He retreated with a cold expression. What was this thing that was so terrifying? Damn it, who dared to hurt me? Demon Slayer Quasi-Emperor Yang Tian roared. As a Quasi-Emperor, he was actually injured. The people of the Barren Tomb also felt their scalps go numb. The Tadpole leader sneered. How dare you be so presumptuous in this place? No one in the world can save you. 100,000 tadpoles kowtowed to the void together, submitting. In the void, there was a metal fragment flickering. It was stained with demon blood, but it was extremely sharp. What was that? Demon Slayer Quasi-Emperor, and the others were stunned. Lin Xian's pupils constricted, because he realized that the fragment in the sky was extremely similar to the one in his hand. From the looks of it, the two should be the same thing that came from a weapon. It should be broken now, Lin Xian guessed. However, this broken weapon fragment could penetrate the body of a Quasi-Emperor, and even he couldn't suppress it. He had to use the sky-devouring jar to suppress it. Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. Could it be a fragment of an imperial weapon? After thinking about it, Lin Xian could only think of this possibility. Could it be that the Demon Emperor's Emperor weapon was broken here? Damn it, what is that thing? It's so terrifying. The old man leading the desolate spirits had an ugly look on his face. The Demon Slayer Quasi-Emperor also frowned. There was a crack on his Demon Slayer saber. Obviously, it was injured in the collision just now. This made his heart bleed. At the same time, he was also terrified. He gritted his teeth and said, "Only an extreme-grade weapon can hurt me. This is a fragment of an extreme-grade weapon." As soon as he said this, the 3 experts from the desolate tomb were stunned. A fragment of an extreme-grade weapon. The firmament, an extreme-grade weapon, was the weapon of a great emperor, the supreme existence of weapons, but now it was broken. This was impossible. What kind of power could break an extreme-grade weapon? One had to know that once an extreme Dao weapon appeared in the myriad of worlds, it would sweep through the world and be invincible. Only the other imperial armaments would be able to contend against them. However, there had been several extreme-grade battles before. However, even if they were fully recovered, they were only evenly matched. There was no extreme-grade weapon that was broken. This made it hard for them to imagine what kind of battle had happened for the extreme-grade weapon to be broken. Even Lin Xian's expression was extremely solemn. Whether this was the Demon Emperor's weapon or not, the battle back then was already very tragic, far beyond their imagination. It seemed that this was not just a simple enemy. In front, the Tadpole leader and the others knelt on the ground and kept worshipping. They looked at the Demon Slayer Quasi-Emperor and the others and sneered. Yes, this was an emperor weapon. Although it was only a fragment, it was enough to kill them. They activated the fragment of the emperor weapon and flew forward. The people from the desolate tomb could only enter the ancient coffin to resist, but they were still beaten until they vomited blood. Even Demon Slayer did not dare to be arrogant this time. He frantically fled, would never dare to stand up to such a weapon. Although he was a quasi-emperor, he was only one step away from becoming a true great emperor. However, the difference in strength between the two sides was like heaven and earth, not to mention a great emperor. He couldn't even defeat a fragment of the great emperor's weapon. One could imagine how big the gap was. The shard of an emperor weapon caused both sides to flee frantically. He was like a stray dog. The tadpole leader laughed heartily. Then he stared at Lin Xian and said coldly, "Brat, it seems like you're the weakest and don't have any trump cards. Then you can go die." He controlled the imperial armament fragment and charged toward Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, a black jar appeared and charged forward. "Reckless human ant. Who do you think you are? That's a fragment of an imperial armament. It's not something you can fight against." These black tadpoles laughed wildly. In their opinion, Lin Xian didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. In front of them, there was a violent explosion. These black tadpoles were all stunned. How was this possible? "He blocked it," the tadpole leader also exclaimed and roared. He had seen the most unbelievable scene. One had to know that the previous quasi-emperor could only flee after being killed by him. But now, this human youth in front of him actually blocked it. Damn it, how did he do it? When he felt the same extreme aura coming from the black jar, his face became incomparably ugly. It was an extreme weapon, and it was complete. "You're from a great emperor family?" she exclaimed. Lin Xian blasted away the weapon fragment and sneered. "Now, you still dare to call me an ant? Let's see who's the ant." The heaven-devouring jar shone brightly and swallowed the heavens and earth. It swallowed the tadpoles. 100,000 black tadpoles tried to resist, but they couldn't stop it at all. In this black vortex, there were many existences that were directly swallowed up and were no longer there. No, the black tadpole leader was in despair, and the other tadpoles were also wailing. Even the Demon Slayer and Desolate Tomb people felt their scalps go numb. They didn't expect this kid to have an emperor weapon with him. They were really careless. If they really fought, and the other party took out the emperor weapon, they were afraid that they would be doomed. "Retreat, retreat, quickly," the tadpole leader roared crazily, and the others quickly retreated. At the same time, they summoned the emperor weapon fragment back and kept enlarging it. It was like a broken shield resisting. Only then did it block the black vortex. However, he was still firmly suppressed. After all, although the heaven-devouring jar was only half, this half was still intact. The other party was only a fragment of the emperor weapon. The difference between the two sides was too great. It was normal for it to be suppressed. "Go. Follow." Seeing Lin Xian opening the way in front, the Demon Slayer quasi-emperor and Desolate Forest people quickly followed behind. They wanted to see what kind of existence was buried in this place. Lin Xian held the heaven-devouring jar and swept it in all directions. The black tadpoles were constantly shattered. Finally, they had no way to retreat. There was no passage behind them. Lin Xian once again created the black vortex and pushed it forward. The black tadpoles all knelt on the ground, as if they were worshipping something. Suddenly, the void in front of them split open, and a ray of light flew out, directly piercing through the black vortex. It hit the heaven-devouring jar and knocked Lin Xian back. Lin Xian's arm went numb. What was that? It was so terrifying. Was there another fragment? The Demon Slayer quasi-emperor and the others were also stunned. They stopped and looked in front of them in shock. In front of him, there was a dark red shadow floating. What was that? Lin Xian and the others were stunned. However, a low voice came from ahead. Who was it? How dare you disturb my sleep? As soon as the voice came out, the sky and earth shook, and the demonic sea boiled. Lin Xian and the others vomited blood. Lin Xian used the heaven-devouring jar to protect his body. However, the others were not so lucky. Cracks appeared on the demon slayer Quasi-Emperor's body, and the bodies of the people in the desolate tomb were also torn apart. Even with the ancient coffin this time, they were still seriously injured. These people were crazy. The moment they heard the voice, they were seriously injured. What was that? Even Lin Xian exclaimed. Could it be a real arch? Was there an earth sleeping here? DeLong also warned, Kid, be careful. This is a real arch aura, different from that of a quasi-emperor. Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. As for the demon slayer quasi-emperor and the others, they turned around and fled. As a quasi-emperor, the demon slayer quasi-emperor knew too well how terrifying a real arch was. They were undefeatable, so she definitely did not dare to go against them. Since they were here, how could they leave? A bunch of ignorant ants. The low voice sounded again, and the sky fell, and the earth cracked. At the same time, the Emperor weapon fragment from before floated up. In addition, a few Emperor weapon fragments also appeared in all directions. Chapter 5546. There were a total of 7 ice fragments floating in the air. Some were big and some were small. The big one was the size of a plate, and the small one was only the size of a finger. However, these were fragments of an Emperor weapon after all. They were extremely sharp. No matter how small they were not something that others could contend with. The one in Lin Xian's hand was half the size of a palm. Although it was shaking violently, it still did not fly out. This made Lin Xian puzzled. That's not right. This Emperor weapon is not controlled by the Great Emperor. If the one sleeping in front of him was a Great Emperor, then even if it was a fragment of an Emperor weapon and was suppressed by the heaven-devouring jar, it should fly out instantly. He used his Rinnegan and carefully examined it. He found that other than the one in his hand, there were some other Emperor weapon fragments around him. They did not fly into the air either. This surprised him. He found that the fragments contained a lot of demon blood. Could it be that the demon emperor's power was suppressing the other party? If that was the case, then the great emperor sleeping here was definitely not the demon emperor. It was the enemy of the demon emperor. Now, he was extremely excited. He finally knew who was fighting the demon emperor back then. At the same time, she was also extremely surprised. These great emperors were indeed terrifying. It seemed that the news about the great emperors that had spread before were just legends. There were actually 2 great emperors that appeared at the same time. Moreover, there was a shocking battle that even the emperor weapon was shattered. More importantly, one of the great emperors was still alive. One had to know that Lin Xian had heard many legends about the great emperors as he grew. The 2 most important ones were that the great emperors were not immortal. They could live for at most 10 to 20,000 years. Moreover, only one great emperor could appear in each era. They stood at the peak of the universe, suppressing the myriad of worlds. But now, all of this was overturned. However, thinking about it, even quasi-emperors rarely appeared in this era, let alone great emperors. Everything about the great emperors were legends. Thinking back to what the extreme Tao weapon had said before, the great emperors did not belong to the human world. They were supreme existences that surpassed everything. How could other people know the details of the great emperors? It seemed that there were many secrets about the great emperors. Lin Xian clenched his fists. He really hoped that one day he could reach this realm. This way, he would know all the secrets of the great emperor. Surrounded by 7 imperial armament fragments, Lin Xian could still be considered calm. However, the people from the desolate tomb were so frightened that they were about to cry. Even the demon slayer quasi-emperor's face darkened. He gritted his teeth and asked, "Are you really a great emperor?" A cold shout came from the front. How dare you disrespect the great emperor? He knelt down and kowtowed. The tadpoles roared crazily. That deep voice was also heard. Who would have thought that a quasi-emperor would appear here? Furthermore, your aura is incomparably familiar. Demon Slayer was stunned. In the next moment, he quickly said, "Greetings, great emperor. I am a demon slayer, a martial artist of Mount Eternal. This time, I didn't know the situation and mistakenly entered the great emperor's resting place. I hope the great emperor can spare my life and let me leave on account of Mount Eternal." It's actually Mount Eternal. I was wondering why its aura was so familiar. In front of them, the deep voice sounded again, seemingly a little surprised. When the three experts from the desolate hill saw this scene, they hurriedly said, "Great Emperor, please spare our lives. We are also martial artists from the desolate spirit realm. Please have mercy, your majesty. Even the desolate hill has appeared." The mysterious voice in front of them was even more surprised. However, he snorted coldly. "So what? I don't care about a mere forbidden land of life. Even if your mortal sovereigns were here, I wouldn't care. What's more, you little ants, since you dare to disturb me, you can go to hell." Between heaven and earth, the fragments of the emperor weapon shone brightly, causing the people from the desolate hill to despair. The demon slayer quasi-emperor's pupils constricted. Damn it, is he not afraid of their forbidden land of life? He doesn't even care about mortal sovereigns. Is the great emperor in front of them really so terrifying? No, senior, don't attack us. You have to attack him. The demon slayer quasi-emperor pointed at Lin Xian. He said that this person is the demon emperor's inheritance. Senior, you must have fought with the demon emperor back then. You must be his enemy. Now that the demon emperor's inheritance is here, you must kill him first. The demon slayer quasi-emperor pointed his spear at Lin Xian. Obviously, he was planning to shift the blame to the east. As long as Lin Xian and the great emperor fought, they still had a chance to escape. Although Lin Xian was weaker than him, he had the heaven-devouring jar in his hand after all. He could resist for a while. And this time difference was their chance to escape. The demon emperor's successor. Hearing this, the voice suddenly changed, and in the next moment between heaven and earth, the murderous intent swept through the 9 heavens like raging waves crashing against the shore. Heaven and earth, the 9 heavens and 10 lands, everything was shattering. Even Lin Xian kept retreating. His face turned pale. This was the great emperor's murderous intent. He activated the heaven-devouring jar to the extreme to protect himself. At the same time, he stared at the demon slayer quasi-emperor. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. These guys actually killed with a borrowed knife. If he had the chance, he would definitely make these people regret it. He would send these people to hell. However, the great emperor's murderous intent was really too terrifying. It made Lin Xian's hair stand on end. I didn't expect to meet the demon emperor's successor in this life. I'm so happy. Where's that old fart, the demon emperor? Has he already fallen? But it doesn't matter. He dared to go against me back then. Today, I will make his successor die without a burial place. As soon as the voice fell, the 7 weapon fragments in the sky exploded together and attacked Lin Xian. This was a peerless, murderous intent. Lin Xian didn't dare to be careless in the slightest. He activated the heaven-devouring jar to the extreme to protect himself. It formed a pitch-black vortex to block the attack. He didn't die. He was holding the heaven-devouring jar. The mysterious voice was even more surprised. It seems that not only did you obtain the demon emperor's inheritance, but you also had other opportunities. It's just half a heaven-devouring jar. If you were a great emperor, you could still leave. However, you're just a small sage. Don't even think about leaving in this lifetime. Lin Xian's face turned ugly. Suddenly, the 7 weapon fragments flew over again. They didn't attack him. Instead, they flew in all directions. In an instant, the demon slayer Quasi-Emperor screamed. His body was pierced by 3 weapon fragments. Blood stained the sky. He fell from the sky. The 3 experts from the desolate forest also felt their scalps go numb. They were hit by the 4 Emperor weapon fragments, and their bodies were shattered. Even the desolate coffin had cracks this time around. There was no other way. No matter how strong the coffin was, it was no match for an extreme weapon. Great Emperor, please spare our lives. They kept kowtowing. However, it was useless. With another attack, the coffin shattered into pieces. They were instantly pierced, and their souls were destroyed. The desolate spirit experts had all fallen at this moment. Chapter 55:47. Everyone in the desolate tomb had died, and the demon slayer was also severely injured. The only one who was not injured was Lin Xian. The demon slayer Quasi-Emperor roared angrily and rushed towards Lin Xian. He said, "Kid, let's join forces to fight. Although you have an extreme Dao weapon, your strength is not enough. On top of that, I have the strength of a Quasi-Emperor. If we control the extreme weapon together, we can definitely leave. Otherwise, no one would be able to escape." As he spoke, he had already arrived near Lin Xian. In his opinion, Lin Xian would definitely agree in order to survive. However, Lin Xian sneered and said, "Scram." What? The demon slayer Quasi-Emperor was stunned. He couldn't believe it. He gritted his teeth and thought, "Damn kid, do you want to die together with me? Do you really want to die?" Lin Xian snorted. "I can still survive without the power of a Quasi-Emperor, but without the extreme weapon, how can you survive? Didn't you say that you wanted to kill me? Why are you begging me now? If you want to beg me, kneel down, kowtow to me, and call me Grandpa 3 times. I can consider letting you come over. Do you want to die?" The demon slayer Quasi-Emperor was so angry that his body trembled. Is he slapping me in the face? He was filled with killing intent. Lin Xian was unmoved. "Why? You're not willing? Then get out of my way and die by yourself." As soon as he finished speaking, the Emperor weapon fragment in the distance quickly charged over. The demon slayer Quasi-Emperor tried to block it, but he was still sent flying. The injuries on his body were even more terrifying. His body had already been shattered into pieces. Lin Xian was also forced to retreat, but with the sky-devouring jar, he was not injured. "Damn kid, how much power do you have left? Hurry up and join hands." The demon slayer Quasi-Emperor roared at Lin Xian as he recovered his strength. However, he was answered with an attack. Lin Xian used sky devouring and created a black vortex that charged towards the demon slayer. The demon slayer Quasi-Emperor was shocked and narrowly dodged. He was still injured. He gritted his teeth. "You're courting death." An extremely terrifying light appeared in his eyes. In the next moment, the immortal energy seed between his eyebrows began to burn rapidly. Go. He was already burning his life force and origin energy. She wanted to escape. As for Lin Wudi, he would slowly kill him after he got out. He had to make the other party regret what he had done today. A Quasi-Emperor fighting with his life on the line was extremely terrifying. In the blink of an eye, that person managed to dodge the pursuit of the Imperial armament fragment. He was about to escape. At this moment, Lin Xian sneered. "You still want to leave? Stay with me." He unleashed his power and unleashed a peerless attack. The heaven-devouring jar flew over, and the entire world was swallowed up by a black vortex. At this moment, the power of the heaven-devouring jar was extremely terrifying. "Damn it, you dare to stop me? Go to hell." Sensing the power of this extreme weapon, the demon slayer Quasi-Emperor went crazy. Where did Lin Wudi get his strength from? This was probably all of his strength. How was he going to protect himself after this attack? But now he couldn't think of anything, because the heaven-swallowing jar had swallowed him. He could only temporarily avoid the attack and retreat. In the next moment, his face darkened. Damn brat, he was filled with killing intent. Lin Xian sneered. Why? Did you guys think that this day would come when you were trying to shift the blame to someone else? If I can't leave, you can't leave either. Then what do you want? Do you really want to die here? Lin Xian sneered. Kneel down, kowtow, call me grandfather, and give me your power. I can let you leave alive. Dream on, the demon slayer Quasi-Emperor roared. The mysterious voice in front was also angry. 2 ants, do you think that I don't exist? The power of the barren ancient coffin, the indestructible power, and the power of the demon emperor's inheritance are enough to help me break the seal. At this point, he roared, and the fragments of the imperial armament flew in all directions. They enveloped the 8 ancient coffins and brought them over. At the same time, they charged towards the demon slayer Quasi-Emperor and Lin Xian. The demon slayer Quasi-Emperor screamed and wanted to retreat, but he realized that this time he was targeted by a great emperor. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't escape. His body was penetrated, and he flew forward uncontrollably. Damn brat, why aren't you making a move? He looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian's face was cold, but he didn't make a move. He was waiting. He was waiting for the demons to die. The demon slayer Quasi-Emperor of Mount Eternal. He had to kill him with a borrowed knife. As for this great emperor, Lin Xian could tell that this great emperor had been sealed. It was very likely that the demon emperor had sealed him. Therefore, Lin Xian waited until the moment Quasi-Emperor Shu Mo died, and immediately activated the illusion demon scripture. A demonic shadow appeared behind him. The demon slayer in front screamed crazily as a Quasi-Emperor. His strength was incomparably terrifying, but he didn't expect to die at this moment. In despair and unwillingness, she turned into a bloody mist. Next, it's you, the successor of the demon emperor. Once again, a cold laughter rang out in the sky. The 7 monarch weapons instantly charged forward. At the same time, there was an even more terrifying great emperor's aura. He could tell that Lin Xian was the most difficult one to deal with. Although his cultivation was the weakest, he had half an extreme weapon. Lin Xian resisted while using the illusion demon scripture with all his strength. The sky-devouring jar blocked the imperial armament's fragments and made a clanging sound. Lin Xian kept retreating. At this moment, the demonic shadow behind Lin Xian suddenly appeared. As soon as he appeared, he roared at the sky and looked in all directions. Then, the power of the entire demonic sea was mobilized by him. It was as if he had turned into a demonic realm, suppressing below. The mysterious great monarch bellowed furiously, "Damn it, you're courting death. No one will be able to seal this emperor." He quickly absorbed the power of the ancient barren coffin and the inextinguishable power. Under his control, the 2 forces turned into 2 sabers. One was the inextinguishable saber, and the other was the desolate saber. They slashed at the ground below. The sabers swept across, and a bright light swept in all directions. Intense collisions sounded. The entire demonic sea shook violently. Don't even think about it. Suppress it. Demonic seal. Lin Xian formed a seal with his palms, and the demonic shadow behind him also quickly attacked. The power of the demonic sea was mobilized by him, forming a boundless demonic seal. 36 black demonic world monuments appeared between heaven and earth, suppressing the world. There was no way Lin Xian would let him out. The mysterious great emperor let out a crazy roar. Counterattack! Kill him! After the 100,000 black tadpoles received the order, they quickly rushed over. They turned into black bolts of lightning and charged at Lin Xian. This time, endless sword light rushed out of Lin Xian's body and slashed in all directions. anything that came close was split apart by the power of the great dragon sword soul. However, this time, the black tadpoles seemed to have gone crazy. Even if they died, they would not retreat. In the end, they covered the sky like a black flood and swallowed Lin Xian. Chapter 55-48. This scene was extremely terrifying. If it was any other sacred clan, they would have probably died. However, this time, it was Lin Xian who attacked. A dragon's roar shook the 9 heavens. Endless sword light rushed in all directions. Tens of thousands of giant dragon roars blasted away those black tadpoles. Behind Lin Xian, terrifying dragon shadows appeared one after another. He seemed to have turned into a dragon god, suppressing all directions. Those tadpoles were either split apart, or they were directly slapped to the ground by the dragon claws. Lin Xian killed his way out of the terrifying energy. He actually had the power of the dragon clan. The mysterious great emperor in front of him also snorted coldly. He really didn't expect that an ant would have so many supernatural powers. Lin Xian walked forward like a sword god. Everywhere he passed, those black tadpoles all fell. He killed a bloody path. When he reached the end, there was no more path. In the end, it was split apart by Lin Xian's sword. He continued to walk down. The inextinguishable power below and the power of the barren tomb turned into 2 sabers that seemed to be attacking. At this moment, Lin Xian saw clearly that there was a palace at the end of the path. It was a black palace, as black as a demon, like the palace of a demon god. Inside this palace, there was a terrifying aura. The mysterious voice came from here. When he saw this palace, Lin Xian was extremely shocked. He was sure that this black palace was definitely built by the demon emperor. Around this palace, there was a lot of green mist that was highly poisonous. It could corrode everything. Lin Xian's sword qi spread out, blocking the poison. The 2 collided and made crackling sounds. Lin Xian frowned. It seemed that this poison was very terrifying. It was very likely left behind by the great emperor. But fortunately, after tens of thousands of years, the poison had become very little. That was why he was able to block it. Otherwise, no matter how strong he was, he wouldn't be able to block it. Just like that, he continued to resist the poison as he walked forward. In the end, her soul shook. The surrounding tadpoles were also crawling outside. They roared crazily, but they didn't dare to enter. "You were sealed here?" Lin Xian shouted coldly as he looked at the devil palace in front of him. However, a wave of anger came from the devil palace. "Ant, you still dare to challenge me? I can slap you to death with a single slap." Lin Xian laughed heartily when he heard that. "Then why don't you film it? You can't get out at all. Ignorant ants." The voice in the devil palace became even angrier. The next moment, the entire demon palace began to shake violently. Lin Xian's expression changed as well. Impossible. Could he really come out? At the same time, the phantom of an enormous creature appeared. That colossal green mountain appeared above the devil palace. It actually carried emperor's might. Lin Xian's face was pale. She hurriedly recalled the heaven-devouring jar to defend herself. The heaven-swallowing jar unleashed a terrifying extreme Dao aura to barely block the attack. The power of a great emperor was extremely terrifying. This was just an illusion, but it could suppress the 9 heavens. Lin Xian could only stand here because she had an extreme Dao weapon. Otherwise, even the previous boundary emperor would have to kneel on the ground and kowtow nonstop. What surprised Lin Xian even more was that this green colossal creature was actually a frog. Of course, this frog was too terrifying. The aura on its body was vast. Lin Xian finally understood where these black tadpoles came from. They were created by this frog great emperor. The dragon in his body also exclaimed softly. It was actually him. He was sealed here. Lin Xian was surprised. Dragon, do you know him? The dragon nodded. It had heard of him. Do you remember the Permitha that I told you about? He was the very famous green-robed great emperor. In the Permitha, Lin Xian was even more shocked. This frog was actually from the Permitha, and it was really a great emperor. This was too unbelievable. The enemy of the demon emperor back then was actually the Permitha. This Permitha was too terrifying. There was actually a great emperor at the same time. After the huge frog in front of him appeared, it roared towards the sky. Damn it. Successor of the demon emperor, I can actually feel the aura of the great dragon sword on you. Damn it. I must suppress you. An extremely terrifying light bloomed in his eyes and turned into two sharp swords. He charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian hurriedly used the heaven-devouring jar to block. With a boom, he was forced back. His blood and qi churned, and his face turned pale. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. It was too terrifying. This was a great emperor. It was just an illusion. It injured him, who had an extreme Dao weapon. If a real great emperor came out, even if he had an extreme Dao weapon, he probably wouldn't be able to defeat him. The gap was really too big. However, the green-robed great emperor was even more furious. Who was he? He was a great emperor who swept across the 9 heavens and 10 earths. He was an existence who swept across the universe. Everyone below the great emperor was an ant. Even a quasi-emperor could be easily killed by him. But now, a puny saint, such an ant, actually blocked his attack. More importantly, this person was related to the demon emperor and the great dragon sword. This was his enemy. Lin Xian smiled. Although his face was pale, his smile was bright. Is this your strength? That's all there is to it. You're really weak. You can't even kill me. What qualifications do you have to be called a great emperor? You'll be suppressed here for the rest of your life. The green-robed great emperor roared angrily. When he heard that, the huge frog illusion also kept shaking. Damn it, lowly ant. He roared again, and his voice shook the sky. Lin Xian's soul shook violently. Not good. The other party's body was a frog, and a frog's voice was very terrifying. In addition, the other party's great emperor cultivation base was even more terrifying. With that, the entire world crumbled. In fact, the entire Burial Earth star was shaking violently. At this moment, all the living beings on Burial Earth prostrated on the ground. Even the great emperor families were shocked. What kind of voice was this? Heavens, what happened? It was really too terrifying. The extreme Dao weapons in their families suddenly erupted with a terrifying light that enveloped all directions. The patriarchs and supreme elders of the emperor families also walked out one by one. The emperor weapons actually issued a warning. Could it be that a peerless enemy had appeared? They didn't know. Lin Xian was the first to bear the brunt. He felt that his soul was about to split open. He used the Rinnegan to resist. The power of the 6 paths of reincarnation appeared. At the same time, he activated the great dragon sword soul. With all his strength, he let out the most terrifying dragon roar. To resist the other party's voice, Lin Xian retreated again, but he still blocked it. I've said it before. You, a great emperor, are really too weak. You can't kill me twice. What qualifications do you have to be called a great emperor? Lin Xian laughed and took a step forward. Although he was injured, he was indeed proud. One had to know that this was a great emperor, an existence that could shatter eternity with a glance. If others knew that Lin Xian could actually contend against a great emperor, they would be scared. They would really be scared to death. Although this great emperor had been sealed, not everyone could challenge him. Didn't the demon slayer from before get killed so easily? Chapter 5549. You really have the power of the great dragon sword. Damn it. After sensing this aura, the green-robed great emperor in front of him was furious again. He would never forget this kind of power because it had once caused him serious injuries. As for the demon emperor, he was even more furious. The other party had actually built a cage to trap him. Of course, the other party wouldn't have a good ending, but he couldn't bear it. Roar. At this moment, the huge frog roared towards the sky and swallowed the corpse of the demon-slaying formation. Not good, the great dragon exclaimed and quickly retreated. Lin Xian's expression changed drastically. A quasi-emperor's corpse contained a lot of power. If it was absorbed by the other party, it would be really troublesome. He quickly retreated. In the next moment, the huge frog phantom disappeared. At the same time, there was a shake from the demon palace, and a figure walked out. Lin Xian felt as if he was facing a great enemy, and his hair stood on end. Damn it, this great emperor couldn't have come out just like that, right? In the next moment, he saw the figure arrive at the entrance of the demon palace. However, he didn't come out. He just stood there. This time, Lin Xian finally saw it clearly. In front of him, there was indeed a frog, but it was very strange. It wasn't a complete frog, only half of it. Half of its body was split by the sword, and the other half disappeared. The remaining half of his body was still tightly bound by 9 chains. With every step the other party took, those chains would make a clanging sound. At most, the other party could only walk at the entrance of the demon palace and couldn't take another step out. Can't come out? Lin Xian breathed a sigh of relief, and his heart calmed down a little. It seemed that the other party had only recovered some of his movement, but he couldn't completely break the seal. However, he was even more shocked. This frog was a great emperor, but it was split in half. What kind of battle was it back then that even a great emperor suffered such a serious injury? Moreover, even with the strength of a great emperor, he couldn't recover. At this moment, the great dragon in his body said, "See, you know why he is so angry. You are the successor of the demon emperor. Back then, the demon palace built by the demon emperor trapped him. And the reason he hated the successor of the great dragon was that his body was split in half by the great dragon sword." What? Lin Xian was dumbfounded. This frog had been split apart by the great dragon sword. The great dragon sword had once split a great emperor in half. Furthermore, this martial monarch had yet to recover. It was too unbelievable. Lin Xian knew how terrifying the great dragon sword was, but he didn't expect it to be so terrifying. The great dragon sword at its peak was truly terrifying. At that thought, Lin Xian looked ahead and sneered. What great emperor? It turned out that he was only half a frog. The green-robed great emperor coldly snorted. What a sharp-tongued ant. You will regret it soon. I will make you despair, and make you regret being born into this world. The half-frog was also furious. He had been seriously injured in that battle. However, even though he was heavily injured and suppressed, he did not have the aura of death. This was enough to show how terrifying it was. Suddenly, the half-frog sneered. A red light flew out of its body and swept towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian used Shadowless Heaven's net and instantly retreated. However, his body was instantly enveloped. Damn it, this was the frog's unique skill. An ordinary frog could instantly capture a high-speed moving creature, let alone a great emperor. Kid, an ant is an ant. Do you see that? You can't compete with me at all. Half a frog enveloped Lin Xian, causing the black vortexes on Lin Xian's body to constantly shatter. Lin Xian gritted his teeth. He felt his entire body stiffen. The other party's attack was poisonous. He was poisoned in an instant. Half a heaven swallowing jar. I will reluctantly accept it. The half-frog sneered. He controlled Lin Xian and flew towards the demon palace. Damn it! Lin Xian was extremely anxious. If he arrived in front of the other party, he would really die without a burial ground. No, use your full strength. Lin Xian took a deep breath. Great dragon, he growled. In the sword world, Great Dragon also extracted some power. In the next moment, the Great Dragon Sword spirit erupted. Dragon scales appeared on Lin Xian's body. He bared his fangs and brandished his claws, turning into a divine dragon. The divine dragon swung its tail, and a sharp sword was unsheathed. At this moment, he seemed to have turned into the sharpest attack in the world and slashed forward. The half-frog's pupils shrank and instantly withdrew his attack. In the next moment, his face became incomparably ugly. Damn it, it was the power of the great dragon sword again. Damn it, he was so angry that he stomped his feet. The chains on his body were also shaking nonstop, making thunderous sounds. In the previous battle, he was split in half by the great dragon sword. Now he was forced back by the great dragon sword. Although the power of the ant in front of him was not enough to hurt him, it was still a ruthless slap to his face. As a great emperor, being slapped in the face by a small ant made his lungs burst. He roared towards the sky, causing the entire demon palace to shake violently. Lin Xian's face also changed. Not good. He directly drilled into the heaven-swallowing jar. This was the wrath of a great emperor, more terrifying than any previous attack. Sure enough, the entire demon palace kept shattering. Fortunately, the Sea Demon Clan had been ordered by Lin Xian to leave the Demon Sea and go to other places. Otherwise, they would have been turned into ashes. Those who did not escape in time all turned into a bloody mist. With it as the center, the entire burial Earth star began to shake violently. The sky fell, and the Earth cracked. In the sky, endless cracks appeared. Everyone thought that the end of the world had come. What was going on? Even those from the Emperor clan were terrified. Extreme weapons bloomed, their brilliance enveloping the world. A few extreme weapons even flew out, enveloping the entire burial Earth star. They were automatically defending. What happened? The people from the Divine Union also walked out. The toad was so scared that it crawled on the ground. Damn it, why did it have a bad feeling? Morong Qingcheng and Yen Ruyu also came out of seclusion. It seemed to be coming from the Demon Sea. Not good. Big Brother Xian went to the Demon Sea. Could it be that something happened? They were really too nervous. The people from the Purple Mansion were also shocked. Such a scene made them think that the end of the world had come. In a secret realm in the Purple Mansion, the Purple Mansion Master opened his eyes. His beautiful eyes were wide open. He was shocked. This aura? That was impossible. He seemed to have seen the most unbelievable thing. The next moment, he bit his finger and drew a mysterious rune between his eyebrows. Then, he respectfully knelt on the ground. Greetings, Father. An anxious voice was heard. At the same time, the blood-red rune between his eyebrows kept spinning. The next moment, a sleeping power in the depths of his soul woke up. It turned into a ray of light and appeared in front of him. It was a middle-aged man. His appearance was blurry, but the aura on his body was incomparably terrifying. The moment he appeared, he froze the world, and the entire Purple Mansion stopped shaking. Chapter 5550. The people from the Z government heaved a sigh of relief. Great, the crisis had been resolved. However, they didn't know that a mysterious impression had appeared in the depths of their Zifu. After the mysterious middle-aged man came out, he asked, "Why did you summon me? You can only use this kind of power a few times. Last time, it was the Mansion Lord of the Purple Mansion who was in life-threatening danger. That was why this mysterious middle-aged man appeared and protected her. Unexpectedly, not long after, his daughter summoned him again. After all, It was already very difficult for him to leave such power in his daughter's body. Moreover, it was not the right time for him to come out. The chief of the Purple Mansion hurriedly said, "Father, please calm down. Father, feel the aura outside." The mysterious, middle-aged man frowned. He sensed for a moment, and in the next moment, his expression changed drastically. "What is this?" A look of shock appeared in his eyes. The Purple Mansion's mansion master also said that his daughter didn't dare to be certain, which was why she summoned her father. The middle-aged man sensed for a moment before bursting into laughter. "Good daughter, you've done very well. You've done a great job in this matter. I'll reward you when we get back." "Thank you, father." Headmaster Z was extremely agitated. At the same time, he asked, "Father, is it really him?" That's right. This was the aura of the green-robed Great Emperor. During the great battle back then, he was split in half by the Great Dragon Sword. Half of his body fell off and disappeared. Later, due to some reasons, we were unable to return. Therefore, we can only send the Zifu sect to search for it. However, many generations of Purple Mansion lords had tried their best, but they still hadn't been able to find it. Who would have thought that it would appear now? Moreover, the timing is quite good because it won't be long before we return to this land. His eyes were filled with excitement. He said, "I'm going to tell the green-robed Great Emperor right now. He will definitely be happy when he finds out." Before the middle-aged man's voice disappeared, the light had already disappeared. The entire secret chamber regained its peace. The Purple Mansion Lord took a deep breath and clenched his fists. Since the news had already spread, there was no need for him to worry about what would happen next. He believed that his father would make a move soon. Demon Sea, in the endless seabed, everything shattered and vanished. There was only one black jar floating in the air. It was the heaven-devouring jar. Within the heaven-swallowing jar, Lin Xian's face was also pale. Was this the power of Atharch? It was really too terrifying. Right now, he was no match for him at all. Fortunately, this great emperor was still bound. Otherwise, he would have turned around and fled. Lin Xian used his Rinnegan to explore and find a way to strengthen the seal. Or he could provide a bit of devil chi. In this lifetime, he would never let the green-robed Great Emperor out. Lin Xian used the illusory devil scripture and released demonic energy into the Devil Palace to strengthen its defenses. At the same time, he mobilized the power of the demonic sea and pressed it down. The demonic runes on the demonic palace flickered once more, and the laws on them pulsed. Sensing the scene, Half Frog was furious. "Aunt, how dare you suppress me?" He was still roaring angrily. "Just you wait, I'll be out soon. Once I'm out, I'll make you wish you were dead." Lin Xian sneered. "You still want to come out? Dream on." However, the green-robed Great Emperor didn't say anything else. She didn't retaliate either. Instead, she looked up at the sky. It seemed like he was waiting for something. In his heart, he thought that the voice just now should be able to travel out. If they received the news, they should come. Lin Xian didn't care at first. In his opinion, with the Devil Emperor's seal, Half Frog wanted to go out. It was simply a dream. However, he didn't know that outside Burial Earth Star, in the starry sky of the distant universe, there was a huge monster that was rapidly descending. It was also a projection, and it was also a frog. However, it was different from the other half of the frog that was sealed. The head of this half-frog cut through the universe and directly descended towards Burial Earth Star. At this moment, Burial Earth Star shook violently. Endless mountains and rivers shattered, and the 9 heavens split open. The people on Burial Earth Star all prostrated on the ground. The people of the monarch race also looked up at the sky. "Heavens, what is that?" They saw a huge phantom standing in the sky. That phantom was really too big. It seemed like it could shatter Burial Earth Star with a slap. This was an endless powerhouse from the void of the universe. But why did it make them tremble? An apex weapon actually automatically defended itself. Heavens, the might of a great emperor. Could it be that this is a great emperor? These people were all crazy. Weren't there no great emperors in this era? Yi Wudao, Kuan Pingzi, Qilin Sun, and the others were in despair. Their original goal was to become a great emperor. However, only one great emperor could appear in an era. Had someone already become a great emperor in advance? In Mount Eternal, countless people were terrified. What kind of power was this? The might of an emperor had appeared. Had the ancient tomb of an ancient great emperor come? They didn't think that a great emperor would appear in this era. However, in the depths of Mount Eternal, there was a mysterious and terrifying figure. He was the immortal sovereign of Mount Eternal. At this moment, he suddenly opened his eyes and looked up at the sky. Was the green-robed great emperor going to descend? In another forbidden area of the human realm, the human sovereign in the desolate forest also stood up. At this moment, the desolate forest was crawling. Only the human sovereign stood there with his hands behind his back. His body was filled with endless death chi, as if he was the grim reaper of hell. He stood up from an ancient coffin and looked up at the sky. The aura of the green-robed great emperor. Was the two halves of his body finally going to heal? It seemed that the time was coming. The time was coming. It wouldn't take long for them to descend. There was a trace of fear in his eyes, but at the same time, there was more anticipation. The two human sovereigns didn't stop him. Instead, they waited patiently. In the extreme path world, the black tortoise, the destructive war song, and other extreme weapons naturally felt it. They were also shocked. Damn it, this seemed to be the aura of a great emperor. It was the projection of half a frog. They heard that the great dragon sword had split a great emperor in half. It was the green-robed great emperor from the other side. Since then, the two halves of his body had never healed. This time, could it be that he was going to heal again? Damn it, he actually descended in advance. Was he crazy? The three apex weapons also frowned. This situation was completely out of their expectations. In the slanting moon cave, in the extreme path world, Sun Qiqian's body also trembled. He also looked up into the distance, but in the end, he retracted his gaze. He stayed by the stone monkey's side. However, at this moment, in the deeper part of the palace, endless giant dragons condensed into a dragon mountain. There was a figure sleeping on it. At this moment, the figure's hand moved slightly. Slash. A low voice was heard, like a phantom. It disappeared in an instant. Lin Xian didn't know any of this, but he also stopped moving. This was because he felt another great emperor's aura coming over. Chapter 55-51. What was going on? Another great emperor's aura? That was impossible. Had the second great emperor appeared? Lin Xian was stunned. Based on his guesses and the words of the great dragon sword soul, he realized that the great emperors were different from the legends. They weren't from one era. There was only one. It was even possible that those great emperors hadn't died yet. For example, the half-frog in front of him had been heavily injured and suppressed for tens of thousands of years. He was still alive. The other great emperors might also exist somewhere in the universe. However, the appearance of a second great emperor so quickly exceeded his expectations. However, DeLong's expression changed when he sensed this aura. Not good. It wasn't a second great emperor. It was the other half of the frog. They wanted to recover. What? The other half of the frog? Lin Xian was stunned for a moment before he realized what was going on. It should be the other half of the green-robed great emperor's body. The current green-robed great emperor was only half a half-emperor. If the other half of his body recovered, he would be a true great emperor. A complete great emperor was invincible. Even if Lin Xian had the heaven-devouring jar and the great dragon sword soul, he wouldn't be a match for him. Even if the apex weapons of the monarch races recovered, they probably wouldn't be able to defeat a true great emperor. After all, the difference in strength was too great. Even if they used all their strength, how many times could they recover their apex weapons? And every attack of a great emperor was basically the full recovery of an apex weapon. The difference was too great. It was so great that it was hopeless. The half-frog in front laughed. Humph, it's finally here. After waiting for countless years, this moment was finally here. His eyes were filled with excitement, and his body trembled. Then he glanced at Lin Xian. Little Ant, are you in despair? Don't worry, this is just the beginning. I definitely won't let you die so easily. When I get out, I'll capture you and make you stay by my side for 10,000 years. I'll torture you every day and make you wish you were dead. As a great emperor, the green-robed great emperor had long thought of how to torture Lin Xian after being challenged by the little ant. Now, he was waiting for the final fusion. Damn it, he definitely couldn't let them fuse. Lin Xian's eyes instantly turned red. He asked Dalong, "Do you have any ideas?" He was prepared to summon the phantom of the demon emperor to suppress and seal it again. However, Dalong said that it was useless. If the other half of the frog came, it would also have the strength of a half-emperor. Even if it was just an illusion, it was still extremely terrifying. If he were to bring another imperial armament with him, it would not be too troublesome for him to break the seal. The reason why they didn't succeed before was because no one knew where the half-frog was sealed. Now that he had found it, it was not difficult to break it. After all, it had been tens of thousands of years since the demon emperor's power. Lin Xian's expression became extremely ugly. If the seal didn't work, then what could he do? He felt that the other half of the frog's aura in the sky was becoming more and more terrifying. One of its claws had already reached down. He wanted to destroy the demon palace. The green-robed great emperor laughed uproariously. It's finally here. It's time to release the seal. I want to fuse. I want to recover. His voice grew louder and louder. Damn it, Lin Xian's teeth were about to shatter. He even wanted to use the sword world to directly swallow the other party. But in the end, he did not do so. Instead, he thought of another way. With a wave of his hand, he took out an hourglass of time and said, "I will never let you fuse with it. It's useless. You, the successor of the demon emperor, are not my match at all. Unless you are the reincarnation of the demon emperor, then you might be able to stop me. But now you are not even a quasi-emperor. What power do you have to stop me?" He laughed out loud. Lin Xian said, "I don't have any power, but what about the power of time? Wasn't it because they couldn't find you before that they didn't come to save you? So what if they found you now? I can make you disappear. I can make them never find you again." Lin Xian's eyes also lit up. Indeed, he still had the last hourglass of time in his hand. It could allow him to return to the past, and at the same time, it could also allow the half-frog to return to the past. Although he didn't know how long it would last, as long as he could buy some time, he could always think of a way to deal with it. So Lin Xian decided to give it a try. The power of time? With just you? The half-frog looked disdainful. The power of time was so mysterious that even a great emperor might not be able to control it, let alone this little ant in front of him. However, when he saw the hourglass of time in Lin Xian's hand, he went crazy. He jumped up. Damn it, how can you have the power of time? The half-frog was completely stunned. Where did this kid come from? It was too strange. He could even take out the power of time. No, he roared again and increased his speed. He rushed into the sky, wanting to leave the demon palace. However, the demon palace bloomed with light, and the 9 chains on his body tightly bound him. He couldn't escape. He could only roar. Faster, just a little faster. Above the 9 heavens, the projection of the other half-frog seemed to have heard it. He also let out a roar, and his huge body slammed down. Buried earth shook violently. Kid, hurry up and send the entire demon palace away. The dragon also roared anxiously. It was useless to just teleport half a frog. With the power of a pseudo-emperor, even if he went back to the past, he would have a way to come back. However, if it was a sealed pseudo-emperor, it would be difficult for him to come back after going back to the past. Lin Xian said clearly. He aimed the hourglass of time at the entire demon palace. He wanted the demon palace to go back to the past. 100,000 years ago. Go back to the past. Lin Xian's hourglass of time slapped fiercely at the demon palace. The other half-frog was also enraged. And die for me. Now, the only thing he could do was to kill Lin Xian. He launched a terrifying attack. The power of a pseudo-emperor was too terrifying. Even though Lin Xian had the heaven-devouring jar, his body split open at this moment. Even his soul was affected. The dragon roared, forming a dragon shadow that enveloped Lin Xian. The heaven-devouring jar was even more unstable. It completely recovered and blocked the final attack. In an instant, with a bang, the hourglass of time slapped on the demon palace. Although Lin Xian's body was shattered, he smiled. Goodbye, half-frog. No, the half-frog roared crazily. He wanted to resist, but he realized that he couldn't do it at all. The demon palace was still sealing him. He could only watch helplessly as the power of time enveloped the entire demon palace. In the next moment, he disappeared. In the end, he left a sentence. Kid, even if I have to cross the universe, even if I have to cross endless years, I will find you. I will kill you. Only the cold words echoed in the air as the entire demon palace disappeared. The half-frog sealed in the demon palace also disappeared. Boom. In the next moment, Lin Xian was sent flying again. The entire demon sea split open. A huge frog claw slapped down and pierced through the demon sea. Lin Xian's broken body entered the heaven-devouring jar. The heaven-devouring jar was sent flying. Chapter 55-52. At this moment, the buried Emperor Star was in danger because it had been penetrated. All the clans on the buried Emperor Star went crazy. Those great Emperor clans didn't dare to believe that the buried Emperor Star had been broken. It couldn't be. It was really an attack from a great emperor. These great Emperor clans knew many ancient secrets. For example, countless years ago, there was a clan that had offended a great emperor. In the end, the great emperor had destroyed several worlds with a single finger of his finger. Now, there was a great emperor who had crossed the universe to attack the buried Emperor Star. But was this crazy? There was more than one great emperor buried in the buried Emperor Star, yet someone dared to attack it. Wasn't he afraid of disturbing the sleeping great emperor corpses? One must know that great emperors were incomparably mysterious. Even the great emperor clans were guessing if their old ancestor had really died. Thus, the current situation had shocked them to the core. As for the other clans and sects, they were even more shocked. Was the buried Emperor's Star going to break? They had all gone crazy. They even wanted to escape. However, that huge phantom had enveloped the entire buried Emperor Star. Everyone was unable to resist and could only prostrate themselves on the ground. In front of the power of a great emperor, they were all ants. This was great. When the Purple Mansion Master saw this scene, the corners of his mouth rose. As long as the green-robed great emperor fused and recovered his true body, it would be a great merit. In the future, he would definitely have a lot of benefits. He might even be able to leave this place and return to the other side. Even becoming a quasi-emperor would only take an instant. When he thought of this, the Purple Mansion master smiled happily. In Mount Eternal and Desolate Tomb, the two human supremes were also frowning. They even dared to penetrate the buried Emperor's star. From the looks of it, the green-robed great Emperor was becoming more and more arrogant. However, this also indicated that they were about to return. Otherwise, the green-robed great Emperor wouldn't have dared to do this. In the eyes of these supreme existences, the green-robed great Emperor was about to recover. However, in the next instant, a crazy roar was heard. This roar was like the roar of a god. Even the thunder of the 9 heavens shattered. In the entire universe, a region was turned into a black hole. The stars near the buried Emperor's star were instantly turned into ashes. The great Emperor's anger swept through the starry sky. The buried Emperor star also suffered an intense impact. Many living beings turned into ashes. Those Emperor clans also shouted angrily, "This won't do. Hurry up and join hands to activate the extreme Tao weapons." At this moment, as great Emperor clans, they had to stand up and protect the buried Emperor star. This was because the buried Emperor star contained their clans and the tombs of their great emperors. They couldn't allow it to be destroyed. One after another, extreme weapons soared into the sky and joined forces to envelop the entire buried Emperor star. The two human supremes also frowned. What was Green Robe angry about? Nothing? The leader of the Purple Mansion was also stunned. What was going on? There was no fusion as expected. Instead, it was incomparably furious. What exactly happened? The other half of the frog in the sky roared crazily and slapped the demonic sea again. At this moment, the buried Emperor star was already protected by a lot of extreme Tao weapons. Therefore, when he attacked the buried Emperor's star, it gave rise to an overflowing aura. The buried Emperor's star shook but didn't shatter. Many people let out a sigh of relief. The half-frog was incomparably furious. Its gaze pierced through the 9 firmaments and the demonic sea. He began to search. No, none of them. Damn it. Lin Xian's heaven-devouring jar was also shaking nonstop in the Devil's Sea. Lin Xian's blood and qi churned. His shattered body had already healed. This time, he was really injured. However, he could be proud of himself for being able to teleport a half-step Emperor away. Damn it. If this frog descended, would it destroy the buried Emperor's star? Lin Xian was incomparably worried. After all, he had angered an emperor. He was in great danger. The divine union was also in great danger. Even the buried Emperor's star might be destroyed. No, the time wasn't right. He had already broken the rules by coming early. If he could fuse and restore his true body, it would be fine. He would just have to pay a price. However, now that he had sent the other half of the frog away, it couldn't fuse at all. Next, he would be punished. Saying this, DeLong smiled mysteriously. Lin Xian was stunned. Just as he was about to ask what it was, a thunderbolt pierced through the 9 firmaments. This was a thunderbolt tribulation that came from the depths of the universe. It attacked the half-frog's phantom and pierced through its sharp claws. The huge claws fell down and turned into endless nomological laws before disappearing. At this moment, everyone was stunned. Countless martialists and sages looked up at the sky. Someone was attacking the power of an emperor? Who was it? Was another type of great emperor resurrected? The people from the emperor race were also excited. Was their old ancestor angry? However, that wasn't the case. A second emperor didn't appear. Instead, more and more thunderbolts condensed. These thunderbolts carried an ice-cold power as they attacked. There were even many flames in the surroundings that enveloped the half-frog. Everyone was terrified at this moment. What kind of power was this? Thunderbolts surpassed everything. They were more terrifying than any Thunder Dao expert. This flame made countless fire elemental powerhouses despair. Even the Golden Crow race, the fire dragon race, and other top-notch fire tribute sects were terrified. They had never seen such flames before. Only one person knew, and that was Lin Xian. Lin Xian was dumbfounded. This was a thunder tribulation and a fire tribulation. He hadn't expected that the half-frog would have to go through such a tribulation. One must know that when Lin Xian fused with the divine flame seed, he had to go through a thunder tribulation and a fire tribulation. Naturally, he was very familiar with it. The Great Dragon Path wasn't just a simple thunder tribulation and an emperor tribulation. He had broken the rules and had to be punished. Soon, he would disappear. If he didn't wake up, he might vanish. Roar. The half-frog's crazy roar came from the sky, under the attack of the thunder tribulation and fire tribulation. Even though he had the strength of a half-emperor, he was still injured. At this moment, he was still heavily injured. No, damn it. Why was it like this? Mansion Master Zi's expression became extremely ugly. The joy of victory disappeared and was replaced by fear. The green-robed Great Emperor didn't fuse with the Thunder Tribulation and was attacked instead. This made him feel despair. The green-robed Great Emperor roared. Damn it, why wasn't it here? He probed one last time and covered the entire buried Emperor star. However, he didn't find anything. Damn it, who was it? Who stole half of my body? No matter who it was, I won't let them off. The green-robed Great Emperor released a biting cold killing intent that swept through the entire buried Emperor star. At this moment, many people fainted from fright. Lin Xian's scalp went numb. This time, he was really in danger. He was targeted by a Great Emperor. But soon, he coldly snorted. So what if it was a Great Emperor? He raised his head and looked at the sky. The half-frog phantom in the sky had disappeared. Between heaven and earth, the power of the Great Emperor was gone, leaving behind only endless cracks. Chapter 55-53. It disappeared. The people on Burial Earth Star looked up at the sky. They all heaved a sigh of relief. They felt like they had survived a disaster. The two human sovereigns also frowned. They didn't succeed. What happened? They looked into the distance, but they didn't walk out of the Forbidden Land, because their time hadn't come. The Z Mansion also heaved a sigh of relief. However, the Z Mansion Master's expression became incomparably ugly. Damn it. How is this possible? They failed. No, this is impossible. Who can tell me what's going on? He soared into the sky and flew toward the Demon Sea. At this moment, the Demon Sea was in chaos. Other than him, the people from the other Emperor clans also sent experts to investigate. They wanted to know what secrets were under the Demon Sea. However, there was one person who was faster than him. That was Lin Xian. Lin Xian had been attacked before, but he hid in the heaven-devouring jar. Now that the crisis was over, he walked out of the heaven-devouring jar and returned to the depths of the Demon Sea. With a wave of his hand, he took away all the remaining Emperor weapon fragments. The previous 7 Emperor weapon fragments were controlled by the half-frog, so Lin Xian didn't take them. Apart from that, there were also these 5 fragments that were stained with Emperor blood. The half-frog couldn't control these 5 fragments. He took all of them. When he looked around, there was nothing else. This was originally a sealed place. It was the place where the Demon Emperor sealed the half-frog. Other than the mysterious Demon Palace, there were only some Emperor weapon fragments. However, the Demon Palace had long disappeared in the passage of time. Lin Xian sensed that others had come. He took a deep breath and left with a sway of his body. Not long after he left, the Purple Mansion Master descended from the sky. The experts from the other Emperor clans also descended. Here, they could sense an extremely terrifying information. What a terrifying demonic aura. There was also another type of corrosive aura. Who was it? Voices of discussion could be heard one after another. Under the Demon Sea, They actually felt the aura of two great emperors. Before this, they didn't notice it. It was too unbelievable. This is the method of a great emperor. It was hidden very well. If it wasn't for the terrifying projection in the sky this time, we wouldn't have noticed it. The Yi family's patriarch said in a deep voice. The Gu family and the Qilin clan also nodded. They continued to investigate. However, they found that there was nothing valuable around them. There was only a terrifying aura. Disappeared, really disappeared. The Purple Mansion's mansion lord was stunned. He could clearly feel the great emperor's aura from the half-frog. How could it disappear? After all, that was a martial emperor. Even though only half of his body remained, he was still a half-martial emperor, at the very least. It was an existence that transcended everything. When these people from the Emperor clan came here to investigate, as well as the other ancient aristocratic families and great sections, they quickly discussed among themselves. Did you see that? That huge projection seems to be a frog. Why do I feel that it has the aura of a great emperor? Could it be that someone in the universe has proven their Tao and become a great emperor? That's impossible. If that's the case, those from the monarch clan should have known long ago. Moreover, we should be able to sense it. But what was that? Could it be that it wasn't a great emperor who had proven his Tao, but a former great emperor who was still alive? That was even more impossible. They had never heard of a frog becoming a great emperor. These people became even crazier. Even those from the monarch clan frowned. Regarding the great emperor, even in the monarch clan, it was the most core secret. Ordinary people didn't have the qualifications to investigate at all. Therefore, the geniuses of the monarch clan also turned pale. Only the elders and grand elders frowned. It seemed that they had to activate some dusty scrolls. These powerhouses of the great emperor clan returned to the deepest part of the clan. They opened the sealed scrolls. These scrolls were left behind by the great emperor himself, but they were usually sealed. At this moment, they were going to open them and investigate some of the great emperor's secrets. On this day, the people from the monarch clan opened the sealed scrolls. Then they sucked in a breath of cold air. The Yi family's patriarch cried out in surprise. It was actually like this. The Gu family's patriarch's pupils constricted. It was too inconceivable. The Phoenix clan and the Qilin clan were also shocked, because some of the information recorded in the scrolls completely exceeded their understanding. The Kuan Peng clan's patriarch closed his eyes. Beside him, Kuan Pengzi also sucked in a breath of cold air. The number of great emperors was more than they had imagined. More importantly, great emperors were too mysterious, surpassing everything. Their lifespans might be very long. It was impossible for them to break after 10,000 to 20,000 years. However, they had disappeared. Where did these great emperors go? Then, were our old ancestors really not dead? These people from the great emperor clan were excited. The legends of the great emperors were different from what they had heard. There wasn't only one great emperor in each era, and great emperors didn't only live for 10,000 to 20,000 years. Didn't that mean that the Void Great Emperor, the Yi family's Heavenly Emperor, and the Kuan Peng clan's Yin Great Emperor were all alive? Then, would they appear again? Or could it be that these great emperors would also die? Although they had lived for tens of thousands of years, they still couldn't escape the fate of the 6 paths of reincarnation. They weren't sure about this point. This information was only known to the core elders and top geniuses of the great emperor clan. The others were still in the dark because this matter was too shocking. It couldn't be spread. On the other side, the people from the Divine Union were also shocked and started discussing. At the same time, Murong Qingsheng and the others were also worried about Lin Xian. When they saw that Lin Xian had returned safely, They heaved a sigh of relief. Big Brother Xian, that's great. You're fine. What exactly happened? Yanryu also asked. Lin Xian said. It was hard to explain. This time, they had almost made a big mistake. Murong Qingqing said, "Oh, right, the Phoenix Clan's patriarch asked me to go over. He said that they want to open some scrolls of the Great Emperor's seal." Lin Xian was stunned when he heard this. He took a deep breath. Could some secret be about to appear? Before they could go, the old Phoenix had already arrived. They had already opened it. The old Phoenix came over to inform Qingqing about some information regarding the scrolls. Lin Gongzi, Princess Yanryu, come over too. The old Phoenix naturally wouldn't hide anything from the two of them because they had the right to know. The few of them gathered in a secret room. Lin Xian was also curious. He asked, "What exactly is the information in the scrolls?" Chapter 55-54. The old Phoenix told them some of the information in the scroll. It was similar to the information of the other great emperor clans. However, this already shocked Murong Qingqing and Yanryu because it was completely different from what they had heard before. It was equivalent to subverting their understanding. Could this be the real world? They were too shocked that the great emperors had such a secret. Lin Xian had more experience, so he had already guessed it. At this moment, he was very calm. The old Phoenix was surprised. He looked at Lin Xian and said, "Sir, aren't you shocked?" Lin Xian said, "I was also shocked when I first guessed it. However, I've already guessed it." "You actually guessed it?" The old Phoenix was shocked. Murong Qingqing and the others were also surprised because they still couldn't believe it. Especially the old Phoenix. The Emperor clans didn't know about this matter. If they hadn't opened the scrolls left behind by the great emperors, they would probably have been kept in the dark for the rest of their lives. However, Lin Xian said that he had already guessed it. How could he not be shocked? Could it be related to the experience in the Demon Sea? He asked, "Sir, can you tell me what happened in the Demon Sea?" Even Murong Qingqing and Yanryu were very surprised. After returning, Lin Xian didn't tell them in detail. "Well, since you've even opened the scroll left behind by the great emperors and know something about the great emperors, I'll tell you about it too." This was because something unexpected might happen in the next moment. Lin Xian recounted everything that he had seen in the Demon Sea to him. The old Phoenix gasped, and Murong Qingqing and Yanryu were also shocked. "You're saying that a great emperor was sealed under the Demon Sea? To be precise, it was half a great emperor. The projection that appeared outside the Tibetan Earth Star was the other half of the great emperor's body. Back then, it was split by the great dragon sword." The old Phoenix was too shocked. It seemed that the situation recorded in the scroll was true. Back then, two great emperors were fighting, and one of them was the demon emperor. As for the demon emperor, he had sealed another great emperor. This great emperor had been injured by the great dragon sword. In other words, the devil emperor wasn't the only one who fought against the green-robed great emperor. There must be someone holding the great dragon sword to contend against it. This news was too shocking. They were especially shocked when they heard that the last martial monarch had almost recovered. They sucked in a breath of cold air. What happened in the end? Because they knew that they didn't succeed. Lin Xian said, "I used the power of time to send it back to the past. Therefore, he wouldn't be able to return any time soon." Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Xian had completely offended a great emperor. If that great emperor found out that it was Lin Xian, he would probably attack regardless of the consequences. No one dared to imagine what would happen if that happened. Therefore, when they looked at Lin Xian, they were very worried. Lin Xian said that since they had already offended him, what else could they do? Besides, wasn't there still time? Give me time, and I can also surpass the great emperor. Lin Xian's eyes erupted with an astonishing light. "Oh, right. Young master, you said that there would be an unexpected change. What would it be? The old phoenix asked again. Lin Xian said, perhaps one day in the future, an unexpected good fortune would appear. But I'm not sure when it will happen. In short, we must be careful during this period of time. They discussed for a while more before the old phoenix left. The news he received from Lin Xian was also extremely important, so he had to hurry back to report it. Lin Xian was also in seclusion. Previously, although he had returned safely, he had still confronted a pseudo-emperor. He was still seriously injured, so he had to recover quickly. Lin Xian went into seclusion. He entered the Sword World and prepared to recover. When he arrived at the Sword World, he was also surprised. Heavens, is this really the Sword World? He was stunned. He knew about the previous world, but he discovered that after entering this time, it was completely different. The spirit energy around the Four-Spirit Valley was incomparable, as if it had turned into a fairyland. The originally withered ancient tree had already sprouted new buds. The spirit spring of life near it was constantly jumping. Not only that, this was only the original part. Lin Xian looked into the distance. The originally barren aura had also appeared green. Some withered trees had all been reborn. That's great. Lin Xian was overjoyed. It seemed that the power from before had indeed worked. Moreover, this change was not over yet. It was still slowly progressing. Lin Xian came under the ancient tree. He sat on the spirit spring and used the spirit spring of life to heal his injuries. This speed was really too fast. At the same time, Lin Xian took out 5 more fragments of the earth ice. Adding the one he had obtained before, he had 6 fragments of the Emperor weapon. Each of them was not big, but they were stained with Emperor's blood. This was the blood of the Devil Emperor. Lin Xian was prepared to refine the blood of the Devil Emperor. Perhaps there would be an unexpected effect when the time came. In the future, the enemies he would face would most likely be quasi-emperors. They might even fight against great emperors. He had to think of more methods. He had the illusion demon scripture and could summon the phantom of the Devil Emperor. If the phantom of the Devil Emperor fused with the blood of the Devil Emperor, what would happen? Lin Xian was looking forward to it. Just like that, Lin Xian recovered from his injuries in the Sword World while refining the blood of the Devil Emperor. The people of the Divine Union received the notice and did not go out. Instead, they all looked for a place to cultivate. Burial Earthstar calmed down once again. The Devil Sea that had been pierced through was also slowly recovering. However, the people of the various great emperor clans frowned. This was because they felt a sense of fear. Perhaps something was going to happen next. Some of the great emperor clans even decided to open the Earth Tomb to see if their ancestor had really died, or was he still alive. On the side of the great emperor clans, the Purple Mansion Master was also anxiously waiting. He wondered if he would be punished this time. Finally, on this day, his body shook and a terrifying power emerged from the depths of his soul. Then, it turned into a mysterious middle-aged man. Greetings, Father. The Purple Mansion Master was very respectful. He said, Father, your daughter deserves to die. I did not investigate the situation. Please punish me. The middle-aged man said in a deep voice, This matter is not your fault. I asked the green-robed great emperor, and he said that he had indeed sensed the other half of his body. Moreover, it only disappeared the moment he was about to make a move. In other words, someone had teleported his body away. Someone with such ability was definitely not simple. Even a quasi-emperor could not do it. It was very likely that it was one of the enemies from back then, or perhaps the Devil Emperor had prepared some backup plans. Therefore, this matter cannot be blamed on you. Hearing this, the Purple Mansion Master heaved a sigh of relief. Great, he was safe. At this moment, the mysterious man said again, Prepare yourself. In 3 years we will arrive. Chapter 55:55. 3 years later? So soon? The Purple Mansion Master was shocked. In his opinion, it would take at least 10 years or even a few decades or even 100 years. After all, at their level, 100 years would pass in the blink of an eye. 3 years had passed in the blink of an eye. The mysterious man said that the process had indeed been brought forward. It should be because of the green-robed emperor. He tried to force his way in, but failed and even triggered the lightning and fire tribulations. That was why it had been brought forward. In short, although it was brought forward, their plan would not change. In 3 years, they would rule the world. The Purple Mansion Master was excited. His lips curled into a smile. The moment had finally arrived. Humph, Linwoody? Just wait and see. When the time came, all these people would crawl under their feet. In the following period of time, Burial Earthstar was quiet again. Lin Xian and the rest were also cultivating in seclusion because they knew that the heaven and earth anomaly was coming. In the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed. On this day, Lin Xian and the rest came out of seclusion to relax. However, they heard many strange things. The Divine Union had been collecting information. These things had happened in other worlds in the universe. For example, in the sky of some worlds, a flaming eye had appeared and shrouded the world. In other worlds, the ground had split open and people had crawled out from below. One after another, they covered the sky and covered the earth. A forest of bones had swept out in all directions. In fact, one of the moons in the universe had been swallowed. In other regions of the universe, plants had suddenly grown. Those plants were very scary. They covered the sky and shrouded the surrounding worlds. Upon hearing this, Murong Qingcheng and the rest frowned. Lin Xian was also surprised. Such things had never happened before. Even if it had happened, it would have been done by a strong person. However, they had not discovered any strong person behind this. There could only be another explanation, which was the heaven and earth anomaly. It seemed like DeLong had said that they would be coming soon. I wonder what kind of changes will take place next. However, Lin Xian knew that his enemies would be coming soon. At the thought of this, he clenched his fists. His current strength was the Triple Crown King, and his cultivation was at the peak of the Great Sage. Compared to when he had just entered this realm, his nomological laws were much stronger. However, he was still a distance away from breaking through to the quasi-emperor level. Of course, there was no bottleneck for Lin Xian to break through to the quasi-emperor level. He needed resources. In the past, Lin Xian had obtained many resources from the great emperor clans. However, that time he chose to evolve the sword world, so his own improvement was not much. However, he did not regret Swords of the Eye, the recovery of the Swords Eyes. Another thing was that Lin Xian had only injured the Triple Crown Champion. It was said that there was a 10 Crown King in the past. Lin Xian asked Dalong what cultivation level 10 Crown King was at. Dalong's answer to him was that he was below the Great Emperor. The Great Emperor was an existence that was above the king. Although the quasi-emperors below the Great Emperor were called quasi-emperors, they had only stepped out of the sage realm. They were emperors. However, according to the Triple Crown King, as long as one became a quasi-emperor, they should have the strength of the 5 Crown King. Among the quasi-emperors, the 10 Crown King was the strongest. He could be called the strongest existence below the emperor. Lin Xian was the Triple Crown King now. In other words, before he broke through to the quasi-emperor level, he could still become the Quadruple Crown King. Lin Xian even had the Divine Fire Seed. He might even become the Quadruple Crown King before becoming a quasi-emperor. This way, his strength would be even more terrifying. Right now, Lin Xian could only contend against quasi-emperors. Quasi-emperors could not do anything to him. If he wanted to kill quasi-emperors, he would have to use an extreme weapon. Once he became the quadruple crown king, he would be able to kill the other party with his own strength. In fact, Lin Xian felt that he could even become the quadruple crown king. All right, let's become the quadruple crown king first. Lin Xian's eyes shone with an extremely cold light. He entered the sword world. At this moment, the sword world was recovering very well. Some of the originally desolate places also changed. Mountains, waterfalls, rivers, and valleys were formed. All kinds of scenery and landforms made Lin Xian happy. Lin Xian also began to try stepping into these places to cultivate. He even discovered that a tree had grown in the originally desolate place. There were fruits on the tree. After Lin Xian ate them, he felt the great Tao in his body boil. This was more terrifying than any spirit fruit he had ever eaten. It couldn't even compare to the ones in the Four Spirit Valley. After all, the ones in the Four Spirit Valley were transplanted from the outside by Lin Xian, and the one he ate was originally grown in the sword world. It was just that it was withered in the past, and now it had recovered. Lin Xian felt that this fruit was comparable to his decades of bitter cultivation and comprehension. His laws and strength had increased by a large amount. This left Lin Xian dumbfounded. Didn't that mean that even if he didn't cultivate, as long as he ate the fruits in the sword world, he would be able to break through to the quasi-emperor level sooner or later? **CK. What kind of world is this? It's too terrifying. However, Lin Xian also discovered that this fruit was extremely rare. After eating one, he looked around but couldn't find a second one. However, he wasn't in a hurry. Since this fruit could recover, then the others would definitely appear as well. It really made one look forward to it. Just like that, Lin Xian began to cultivate in the sword world. 3 crowns bloomed on his head, emitting a terrifying radiance. It revealed his identity as the Triple Crown King. The people from the other families and sects were also carefully dealing with it. They were investigating all kinds of situations. The Wind clan was relatively calm. However, some situations had occurred in the past few days. It even made the Wind clan's hair stand on end. The Wind clan, as an ancient family, could be considered a large clan. Apart from the Emperor clan, they were considered the top group. They had a lot of resources in their hands, including many spirit veins and even metal mountain ranges. Among them was a spirit jade mountain range. The spirit jade mountain range was very good, like a small dragon. The spirit jade mountain range was surrounded by countless array formations, and there were special warriors in charge of mining here. They continuously provided spirit jade to the Wind clan. However, on this day, the 15th elder, who was in charge of the spirit jade mountain range, had an extremely ugly expression on his face. Just last night, one of the teams in charge of mining, about 20 people, had mysteriously disappeared. They searched the entire mountain range but couldn't find them. More importantly, the soul jade tablets of these 20 people were also shattered. This meant that these 20 people had fallen. They had inexplicably fallen. Was someone ambushing their Wind clan? Who was it? The 15th elder's expression was solemn. This wasn't the end. The next night, another team inexplicably disappeared. And then they fell. It was the same for 3 days in a row. So much so that the martial artists and saints in the Spirit Jade Mountain Range felt their hair stand on end. Chapter 55-56. Elder, what should we do? Is there really a sneak attack? Some of the young warriors were about to cry. 15th Elder's face was also cold. Another woman beside him said, Elder, why don't we ask the family for help? 15th Elder snorted coldly. Asking the family for help for such a small matter. What would the family think? Would it make us look incompetent? Don't say any more. I'll personally take charge tonight. That's great, the surrounding disciples cheered. 15th Elder was a sage, and his strength was very terrifying. With him personally taking charge, they would definitely be safe. Night came. The crescent moon was like a plate, and light shone down, enveloping the mountain range. However, in the latter half of the night, a dark cloud floated past, covering the moonlight. The mountain range also darkened. The disciples shuddered, and even the 15th elder's heart sank. There were many sages here, and he was a sage. Under normal circumstances, he wouldn't care. But now, he had a bad premonition that something was about to happen. He shouted coldly, "All of you, be alert and activate the formation." The other teams patrolled each other, not allowing any place to be missed. Yes, one after another, responses came. The surrounding formation was activated. The valley instantly became as bright as day. The surrounding patrolling teams held swords and sabers in their hands, and their bodies were filled with laws. They were facing a great enemy. No matter who came to ambush them this time, they would not be able to return. After waiting for a long time, there was no danger. The surrounding people all heaved a sigh of relief. Great, nothing happened. However, at this moment, a gust of cold wind blew past, and those formations instantly dimmed. Not good. 15th Elder's pupils constricted. Suddenly, he heard someone scream behind him. He suddenly turned his head. In the next moment, his expression instantly changed. Standing behind her, there were originally 10 people, but now there was only one left. Where were the other 9 people? 15th Elder shouted angrily. The remaining man was so scared that he knelt on the ground. His face was pale because he didn't know what had happened. Could it be that they had been teleported away? Could it be that they were spatial experts? 15th Elder furrowed his brows tightly. He carefully sensed, but he didn't sense any spatial law power. This made him frown even more. Even if the Gu family made a move, there would be information about spatial law. But now there was none. At this moment, another scream rang out. One of the patrol teams had disappeared. Only the sword and saber fell to the ground. Damn it, Team 15 rushed over like a bolt of lightning, but he still couldn't find the enemy. When he came back, he found that the person who was kneeling on the ground had disappeared. 15th Elder's pupils shrank. Her expression became uglier and uglier. In the next few seconds, screams came from the other 2 patrolling martial artists. In the next moment, the entire mountain range became quiet. It was as if only the 15th Elder was left in the array. 15th Elder's forehead was covered in cold sweat. Damn it, what happened? He roared towards the sky. Who dares to sneak attack our Wind clan? Get your ass out here. However, no one answered. In the next moment, the 15th Elder felt a chill run down his spine. It seemed like someone was sneak attacking him. As a saint, he was very powerful. The laws behind him instantly condensed into a shield. At the same time, he charged forward. With a clang, the shield was torn apart, and his back was torn open. Blood dripped down, and white bones appeared. The 15th Elder was in so much pain that he almost fainted. He suddenly turned his head and saw an arm retract. Then it disappeared. Damn it, what was going on? 15th Elder was dumbfounded. In the next moment, his back was attacked again. This time, half of his body was torn apart. 15th Elder's soul escaped. Finally, he saw it clearly. In the jade vein, there were a few black shadows flashing. Those black shadows were standing in the jade vein. What was this? How could there be people in the jade vein? 15th Elder was stunned. In the next moment, his scalp went numb. Originally, he wanted to escape, but he found that the entire mountain range, front, back, left, right, sky, and earth had all appeared. There were so many black shadows that it made one's scalp go numb. 15th Elder screamed and wanted to tear the void to escape. However, in the next moment, those black shadows stretched out their palms from the jade vein and grabbed his soul. They tore his soul into pieces. Then, In the entire Spirit Domain mountain range, all the Wind clan warriors and saints were torn apart by these mysterious black shadows. They were brought into the jade vein. During the entire process, not a single drop of blood was left. Only some weapons fell to the ground. The moon disappeared, and the sun rose. Sunlight shone on the world. However, the entire Jade Spirit Mountain range was empty. It was terrifyingly quiet. The Wind clan knew about the news here immediately. The entire Wind clan was shocked. What was going on? 15th Elder's soul jade tablet was shattered. Had he died? Impossible. 15th Elder was a saint and was very powerful. Even if he couldn't win, he could escape. At the very least, he could ask for help. But now, there was nothing. They only knew that 15th Elder had died. It seemed that something had happened in the Jade Spirit Mountain range. Go and take a look. The patriarch of the Wind clan gave the order. He shouted coldly, I want to see who dares to go against the Wind clan. This time, the 3 elders led a group of saints and set off quickly after the order was given. They rode the Maple Leaf Spirit Boat and headed to the Jade Spirit Mountain range at an extremely fast speed. However, when they arrived, they were also stunned. Their eyes were wide open, and their mouths were agape, because the entire Jade Spirit Mountain range was empty. What was going on? These experts of the Wind clan quickly arrived. They began to search. Soon, they came back and gathered. Their faces were terrifyingly dark. One of the middle-aged men said, They didn't find anyone. Another old man said, Other than some dropped weapons, the others had disappeared. What was going on? Was there a big battle? One of the elders frowned. However, they soon found that there were no traces of a battle. Could it be that the enemy was so terrifying that they were all killed in an instant? That shouldn't be. Did the Sacred Lord make a move? If it was a saint ancestor, he could indeed kill 15th Elder, and the others in an instant. After all, the Sacred Lord was an existence that stood at the peak of the saints. However, such a figure had a terrifying status even in the Wind clan. He wouldn't make a move easily. Moreover, although the Jade Spirit Mountain range was precious, it wasn't enough for the Sacred Lord to make a move. It wasn't that precious. Therefore, they were very puzzled. They went to investigate again. One of the elders said, These people investigated for an entire day, but they didn't find anything. They had no choice but to return to the clan to report. When the news was sent back, the Wind clan was also surprised. The people had disappeared, and they didn't know who the enemy was. Damn it! Sneak attack! So despicable. Some people gritted their teeth. The patriarch of the Wind clan also snorted coldly. He would pay close attention to see if there were any clues, since he didn't know who the enemy was. There was nothing he could do. However, he didn't know that this matter didn't only happen in the Wind clan. Following that, people from the Shur clan, the Sirius clan, the Raging Fire clan, and other clan of the ancients mysteriously disappeared. Chapter 55-57. These were all remote antiquity families, and they were very powerful. However, someone had mysteriously disappeared, and it wasn't just one person. There were many people. These people were also at the place where the Spirit Vein was located, and all of them were in the Spirit Domain mountain range. For a moment, the remote antiquity families were shocked and angry. They sent people to search. Who was the enemy? Some people even speculated that it should be the Great Emperor family. It was very quiet, and it was very likely that it was the Goof family, because this method was too similar to the space law. However, the next situation was even more shocking because the people of the Kuanpin clan also disappeared. This shocked countless people. They didn't expect that after the remote antiquity families, it was the Emperor family who dared to attack the Emperor family. It couldn't be Lin Wudi, right? Only he dared to challenge the Emperor family. Some people shook their heads. It was impossible. Didn't they know what kind of person Lin Wuti was? If he wanted to attack, he would directly attack the Emperor family's mountain gate. Why would he launch a sneak attack like this? This didn't suit his style. Yes, that's right. Lin Wuti was a madman. If he wanted to attack the Emperor family, he would attack head-on. Countless discussions could be heard, and those from the Emperor family also felt that this was the case. If it wasn't the Emperor family, who could it be? They even felt that it was the Gu family. The Gu family felt very wronged. They said that it wasn't them. Just as these people were targeting the Gu family, there were also people from the Kirin clan who mysteriously disappeared. Some people were shocked. It was definitely not the Gu family. Then who was it? Could it be the Forbidden Land of Life? Because they had fought with the two Forbidden Lands of Life before. Back then, nothing happened. Now that peace had returned, how could the two Forbidden Lands of Life just let it go? However, they didn't have any evidence. They could only send people to investigate secretly and even keep an eye on the two Forbidden Lands of Life to see if they had made a move. When the news spread, the people of the Divine Union were also surprised and discussed animatedly. Bai Susu warned everyone. They had to be careful. The people of the Divine Union all took a deep breath. They knew more about the situation. Lin Xian had said that there might be unexpected changes in the next period of time. Therefore, these people didn't dare to go out. They all cultivated in the mountain gate, and it was safe. However, on this day, a middle-aged man rushed over. His face was pale. "Father, why are you here?" Bai Susu was shocked. The person who came was his father, Elder Bai. Elder Bai said, "Someone disappeared from the path." What? Bai Susu was shocked. Was it the same as the clan of the ancients? Elder Bai nodded. The Crimson Dragon, Toad, and the others were also shocked when they heard the news. The experts of the Divine Union gathered together and started asking questions. Elder Bai briefly explained the situation. It was similar to the situation of the Wind Clan. Are you saying that it disappeared in the Jade Vein? The Crimson Dragon frowned. Nalan Liang said, "That's right. According to the information we gathered, the other monarch clans and remote antiquity clans also disappeared in the spirit veins. Moreover, it was specifically targeted at the Spirit Jade Mountain Range." Bai Susu and the others frowned. "Ruzalong, what do you think?" Ruzalong was an expert in array formations and could mobilize the spirit veins under the ground. Therefore, the other party might know something about it. The Crimson Dragon frowned. "I can't think of anything at the moment, but I can go and take a look. Elder Bai, please lead the way." Elder Bai nodded. The group rose into the air and headed for the path. Both sides were in the same ancient city, so they were very fast. When they arrived, the atmosphere in the path was also tense. Great. It was the experts of the Divine Union. The disciples in the path cheered when they saw the Crimson Dragon, Bai Susu, and the others. The Divine Union was not weaker than the monarch clans. With the Divine Union here, the path was definitely safe. Bring me to the Spirit Mountain Range. After the Crimson Dragon arrived, he looked around the path sect and used the Earth Scripture to feel it. He found that there was nothing wrong, so they immediately headed for the Spirit Language Mountain Range. The back mountain of the path was endless. There was a Spirit Jade Mountain Range. The Spirit Jades here could be made into crystals for the path disciples to absorb and cultivate. However, there was a problem here. The experts who had been mining and guarding here had all disappeared mysteriously. Even the Savage Desolation ancestor came. He said, "We looked around and didn't find anything. We also found that many remote antiquity clans were like this." The Crimson Dragon asked, "Didn't you guys guard here?" The Savage Desolation ancestor said, "Yes, Huan Shi and I have been guarding here for a few days, but we didn't see anything." The Crimson Dragon snorted. How cunning. It seemed like he had to find a new jade vein. Is there any more? There's a more remote one that hasn't been used much. the savage desolation ancestor said. The crimson dragon's eyes lit up. Good. That's it. Get ready, we'll go. The savage desolation ancestor nodded. This time, he was also ready to go. Finally, they arrived at a spirit jade mountain range. The Crimson Dragon by Susu and the others stopped. They even brought some seeds and pretended to be moving. Soon, the disciples started to dig in the mountain range. All day long, the noises were heard, but nothing happened until night fell. However, the Crimson Dragon frowned and said, I feel an unusual force. Everyone be careful. Just as he finished speaking, there were screams. Everyone turned around and saw that a few disciples had disappeared. Damn it, what happened? Bai Susu stood up. Her face was pale. Although she was an expert, she was still a girl. She was still afraid of such a mysterious thing. The toad also jumped up. Damn it, what's so strange? Get out here. There was an angry shout, but nothing happened. However, there was a sound behind him, and something attacked him. The toad was shocked. He turned around and attacked. I'll spit on your face. It spat out venom. The sound of corrosion could be heard in the air, and a few black holes appeared. The toad dodged. However, they still didn't find anything. The savage desolation ancestor snorted. Should I destroy the entire jade vein? A hint of sharpness appeared in his eyes. To him, it was just a matter of a punch. The Crimson Dragon said, No, the most important thing now is to find out who the enemy is. At this point, he used the Earth Scripture and prepared to use the power of the Spirit Jade Mountain Range. However, at the next moment, his pupils constricted. Damn it, what's going on? Be careful, there's something in the spirit vein. With that, he waved his dragon claw and slapped the ground. Come out! He used the Earth Scripture to form a mysterious formation that spread in all directions. In the next moment, the entire spirit vein shook. Then, the surrounding people saw an unbelievable scene. Figures appeared in the surrounding spirit veins, one figure after another. Chapter 55-58. What's that? When they saw this figure, the surrounding people were extremely shocked. They were shocked. They didn't expect there to be such a mysterious existence hidden in the spirit vein. Could it be that the disappearance of those people had something to do with these mysterious figures? The savage ancestor was also shocked. As a powerful sacred lord, he didn't notice it. If he wasn't the Crimson Dragon and a top-tier array master, he probably wouldn't have noticed it either. It was no wonder that the clan of the ancients fell for it. It was so strange. F***CK. What's that? The toad asked. The Crimson Dragon frowned. He said he didn't know, but he felt that it was very strange. Terrifying laws appeared on their bodies. The black figures that appeared from the jade vein were everywhere, and their numbers were increasing. In the next moment, they attacked crazily. Black claws reached out of the spirit vein and grabbed at the Crimson Dragon and the others. The pitch-black claws, with a trace of gloomy and cold aura, covered the world. Get lost! The Crimson Dragon roared and slapped with his claws. The toad by Susu and the others also attacked quickly. Some of the Path Sect's disciples also attacked. Soon, the weaker disciples started to scream miserably. Their bodies were torn apart and then captured into the spirit vein. As soon as they entered, they disappeared. They really disappeared. Bai Susu's face was pale, and the toad frowned. It was indeed these guys. They found the source. I'll do it, the savage ancestor roared. He took a step forward, and the power in his body exploded. Savage God Fist. A terrifying fist hit the spirit vein, and this punch directly penetrated it. The sky and earth shook, and the black figures walked out of the spirit vein. They were extremely angry. Heavens, what's that? Bai Susu was shocked. When these black figures came out, they were also pitch black. They only had a pair of narrow eyes and mouths. They didn't have noses or ears. It was very strange. Their bodies floated, as if they didn't have bones, and the murderous aura on them was shocking. What are they? Everyone attacked and retreated. The savage ancestor roared and sent them flying with a punch. The black forest in front of them was sent flying, and their bodies broke apart like water. However, the black creatures also seemed to know of the Wildlands Patriarch's existence. They quickly condensed. Because they had no bones, their bodies were like water, quickly condensing to form an even larger black figure. He was as indomitable as a demon king. The power on it also increased exponentially. In the next moment, with a single palm strike, a boundless amount of energy pushed the Grand Master Savage back. Toad and the others cried out in surprise. They could actually merge. This was too strange. The Wildlands Patriarch was infuriated. He fought a great battle, slaughtering his way over. However, that black creature was still able to fuse with it. More and more silhouettes walked out of the spirit vein. There seemed to be no end to them. The Crimson Dragon furrowed his brows tightly. He used the Earthly Sutra and kept probing. He inspected the situation of the spirit veins under the ground. His expression became extremely ugly. He said, "Damn it, there were so many of them." He said that the Wildlands Patriarch shouldn't attack him because he wouldn't be able to kill him. Attack the jade vein and shatter it completely. After the Wildlands Patriarch heard this, his body swayed and he punched the ground with both fists. The surrounding spirit veins kept shattering. The black creatures in front were finally enraged. They let out a shrill cry. Their attacks were extremely fast, charging towards the Wildlands Patriarch. It was effective. The Wildlands Patriarch laughed out loud. Then he took out a mace from his storage ring and swung it. His strength was so terrifying that he could shatter the jade vein in just a few moves. The black figures wrapped around their bodies and shrunk again, turning back into countless black creatures. Then they entered the shattered jade vein and disappeared. Did they leave? After waiting for a long time, seeing that no one came out, Susu heaved a sigh of relief. The toad also frowned. Damn, this is too strange. The Wildlands Patriarch snorted coldly and attacked continuously, shattering all the surrounding spirit veins. The Crimson Dragon said, "It's useless. The other spirit veins are useless. Only the jade vein works." "What is it? Do you know?" The Wildlands Patriarch asked. The Crimson Dragon shook his head. "I can only detect it because I have the Earth Scripture. They only exist in the jade vein, but I don't know what they are exactly." Just as he finished speaking, the Crimson Dragon's expression changed, and he retreated quickly. The surrounding people were stunned. By the time they wanted to retreat, it was already too late. From the shattered spirit veins, a few black runes flew out and entered their bodies. Damn it, how dare they sneak attack? The Wildlands Patriarch held the mace. He rushed over and broke the ground completely, but he realized that those people were long gone. After he returned, he asked, "Are they all injured?" Susu shook his head. However, there was a black rune on the back of his hand. Elder by the Wildlands Patriarch and the surviving disciples of the Tao. It was the same. They were all hit. Only the Crimson Dragon was fast enough to dodge this attack. What was this thing? It didn't seem to have any effect. They didn't care. "Let's go back." The group returned. "Let's go back and discuss." These people returned along the way, but there was a change on the way. Susu's face turned pale, and the toad jumped up. Damn it, one of his claws had changed. It had turned into a jade-like existence. It was so fragile that it would shatter with the slightest touch. Susu's hands were the same. They became beautiful, like the most exquisite jade. However, he was incomparably terrified. His entire body was about to turn into jade. The surrounding disciples and even the Wildlands Patriarch were the same. However, the Wildlands Patriarch was very strong, so only a few of his fingers changed. The others weren't in such a good situation. At this speed, they would turn into jade people soon. In that case, all their laws would disappear, and they would shatter with the slightest touch. Their souls would be destroyed. How could this be? The toad jumped up. Damn it, I knew this thing was dangerous. The Crimson Dragon's expression was also solemn. He went back first and increased his speed. They quickly returned. After returning, the other patriarchs of the Tao also came and asked. When they learned about the situation, they were even more shocked. A mysterious monster walked out of the jade, and you were all attacked. Do you know what it is? These patriarchs of the Tao quickly investigated, but they realized that they didn't know how to contact the other merchant families. Yen Ryu also came out. After learning about the situation, he frowned. However, there was still no news. No, he had to inform Lin Xian. Yen Ryu said, although she knew that Lin Xian was cultivating now, the situation in front of her was too strange. If he didn't save these people, they would be reduced to ashes. Chapter 55-59. After Lin Xian learned of the situation, he also opened his eyes and walked out of the sword world. After he arrived, he checked the situation of the toad and the others, and then his face became ugly. How could it turn into jade? What was going on? Tell me in detail. The Crimson Dragon told him what had happened, including the other remote antiquity families. After Lin Xian heard this, his brows furrowed tightly. He said that it seemed that the change of the world had already begun. As for what this was, Lin Xian didn't know, so he asked DeLong. DeLong was also surprised after hearing the description. The one you're talking about is very similar to the Jade Man from before. However, it has been many tens of thousands of years since they last appeared, and now the Jade Man has appeared once again. This means that they will descend soon. Jade Man, what is that? Lin Xian was surprised. He had never heard of it before. DeLong said that it was a creature that existed in jade. It should also belong to one of the 10,000 ancient races. The 10,000 ancient races were extremely terrifying, and they were the most supreme existences in the primordial era. However, after the great changes in the world, after countless years, only a few of them were passed down. Some of them either disappeared or fell into a deep sleep. For example, the Light Clan was also one of the 10,000 ancient races back then. They were so powerful, but in the end, didn't they still disappear into thin air? The Jade Man was one of them back then. Those who were attacked by them would turn into jade and disappear into thin air. Can it be cured? Lin Xian asked. This time, the ones who were injured were his good friends. He couldn't just watch as these people died. DeLong said, yes, as long as they could find their original bodies. The Jade Man was evolved from a piece of jade. This kind of jade was called the spirit jade. There were very few of them, and each time they appeared, the type would be different. Therefore, he didn't know which spirit jade had awakened this time. He had to find the spirit jade. Only by using the power contained in the spirit jade could it be dissolved. So that's how it was. These jade men were all formed from a piece of divine jade. After Lin Xian heard this, he took a deep breath. The next step was to find this piece of spirit jade. He didn't know where DeLong was. Lin Xian didn't know either. However, he had a way. All he had to do was capture the person in the jade and search his soul. Lin Xian walked out and explained the situation. Patriarch Wildlands and the others were shocked. Were they the 10,000 ancient tribes? Had they disappeared and reappeared? From the looks of it, the world had really changed. Morong Qingcheng, Yen Ruyu, and the others were also surprised. Lin Xian had said that the weather would change in the next few days. They didn't believe it at first, but now it seemed like it was about to begin. Next, he would look for the heavenly spirit jade. The Crimson Dragon said, "I will go out and search for the spirit jade mountains, then set up a trap and capture them." Next, these people began to move. Lin Xian worked with the other patriarchs to seal the injured patriarch Wildlands, the Toad by Susu, and the others in ice. "Brat, you have to be quick. I don't want to become a toad." "Lin Xian, I'll leave the rest to you," Bai Susu said. Lin Xian nodded. He and the fantasy world patriarch worked together to form a huge ice palace. They sealed them in ice. Bai Susu, the toad, and the others fell into a deep sleep. Next, Lin Xian and the others began to move. The Crimson Dragon searched for the Spirit Jade Mountains first, then they set up a formation. At the same time, Lin Xian took a deep breath. The world had changed. The first one was the person in the jade. What would happen next? In the Divine Union, after the people in the Tao were injured, the other ancient families and great sects were also affected. They had turned into jade as well. In an instant, many people had completely turned into jade. Then, countless cracks appeared on their bodies. After shattering, their souls were destroyed. This scene terrified countless people because it couldn't be suppressed. Apart from using ice to delay it, there was no other way to break it. Furthermore, they had no idea exactly what those black creatures were. "Freeze!" The Yi family patriarch shouted angrily, sealing the injured people in ice. The Kuan-Peng tribe and the Qilin tribe also took action. However, this could only delay it for a short period of time. Their faces turned ugly. Since when did such a terrifying existence appear in Burial Earthstar? Even their martial monarch clans were helpless against it. Lin Xian had already found a jade mountain. It was a very good neighboring mountain. Those people in the jade would definitely come over to absorb the energy here. Therefore, they began to wait. The Crimson Dragon set up a top-notch formation, using the other spirit veins in the surroundings. Fire-based spirit veins, metal spirit veins, and delayed spirit veins were used to set up a formation. Even the top-notch formation couldn't be seen. This was the power of a geomaster. This time, Lin Xian came personally to suppress the person in the jade. When night fell, a figure appeared in the Jade Mountain, wanting to launch a sneak attack. However, Lin Xian had been waiting for them. An extremely terrifying light burst out from his eyes. The power of reincarnation illuminated the entire world. The Crimson Dragon snorted coldly. Since they had come in, they couldn't leave. The dragon waved its claws, activating the formation and sealing the surroundings. In the Jade Mountain, those people in the jade stood inside and roared crazily. Every shadow was baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. It was very strange. Lin Xian snorted coldly and punched out, shattering the Jade Mountain. The people in the jades all fell out, covering the sky and covering the earth as they attacked. There were many of them. However, Lin Xian sneered. The Taiji diagram in his hand flew out, and the Yin and Yang sword Qi turned into a sea of swords. It charged straight forward. The two sides collided, and the people in the jade were all split apart. The people in the prison also screamed crazily. They didn't expect the young man in front of them to be so powerful. Their broken bodies quickly merged like water droplets. Then, an even more terrifying existence was formed. With a slash, it split heaven and earth. Lin Xian snorted. His divine body bloomed, and terrifying flames swept out. At the same time, the demonic realm descended. A demonic palace descended from the sky and suppressed the people in the jade. The people in the jade roared crazily, and many arms appeared on his body. There were a total of 12 arms, and they kept dancing. Each arm was holding a weapon, and they were dancing crazily. The demonic world mirage was actually shaking nonstop. "Kid, hurry up and suppress him completely. Otherwise, more and more monsters will fuse." Indeed, the savage wilderness ancestor was forced back last time because there were too many monsters fusing behind him. Lin Xian said, "Don't worry, leave it to me." endless sword chi appeared on his body. He swung the Hellfire Dragon sword and split the Jade Man into two halves. This time, the Jade couldn't heal. The two halves of his body couldn't be healed. He was terrified. He let out a shrill cry. Lin Xian sneered. Back then, the great dragon sword could split the great emperor in half. There was no way to heal, not to mention the person in the jade. Although this thing was mysterious, it couldn't be compared to the great emperor. Chapter 5560. Although Lin Xian couldn't unleash the full power of the great dragon sword, it was enough to deal with the jade-like man in front of him. After the jade-like man was injured, he wanted to escape. The two halves of his body flew toward the Jade Mountains. The Crimson Dragon sneered. Stay. The array formed by it flickered quickly, blocking the jade-like man in the middle. The jade-like man in the middle let out a shrill cry. His 12 arms danced quickly, bombarding the array. Lin Xian roared angrily. 6 paths of reincarnation. The illusion of 6 worlds appeared and kept crushing the jade-like man in the middle. The jade-like man in the middle was suppressed. He roared, unwilling to give up. However, Lin Xian's eyes were fixed on him like a god. Soul search. The power of the Rinnegan completely erupted. The jade-like man in the middle couldn't resist. His soul was searched. Lin Xian's right Rinnegan saw a mysterious image. In an unknown space, there were endless altars and ancient stones. Desolate, strange stones were placed all over the ground. In the middle, there was a piece of jade. It was a piece of blood-colored jade. It was incomparably mysterious and radiated brilliance. It was unforgettable with a single glance. Could it be the heavenly spirit jade that the great dragon mentioned? Lin Xian wanted to examine it carefully, but at this moment, the blood-colored jade shook slightly. A terrifying power appeared, and even the surrounding ancient altars and stone pillars erupted with light. In the next moment, the image shattered. Lin Xian frowned. The jade-like man in front of him also let out a scream. Then he turned into pieces of jade. Then cracks appeared on his body. With a crack, he shattered into pieces. Was he dead? Lin Xian frowned. It seemed that someone had discovered his soul's search and forcibly interrupted it. At the same time, in a mysterious place, the heavenly spirit jade shook nonstop. At the same time, a cold shout sounded. Who dares to examine me? The mournful voice was very terrifying. The surrounding stone pillars and ancient altars also shook, letting out a low sound. Did the great emperor family discover us? Humph, no matter who it is, even if it's a martial monarch clan. So what? Can they do anything to us? The time has come. This is our world, and no one can stop us. After waiting for so long, it was finally here. The heavens are helping me. This time, we will rule the world. Various low, hoarse, and aged voices sounded one after another. Obviously, these were all extremely terrifying and mysterious existences. What happened to the kid? In the Jade Mountain, the Crimson Dragon withdrew the formation. He asked. Lin Xian said that he had discovered something. He recounted what he had seen. The Crimson Dragon was surprised. From the looks of it, the blood-colored jade was their main body. As long as they could find the blood-colored jade, it would be enough. However, he didn't know where it was. Lin Xian asked DeLong again. He described what he had seen. DeLong said, "You said you saw many stone pillars and strange stones. Combined with the heavenly spiritual jade, I can think of a place, ancient land of Tai Chu." Lin Xian frowned after hearing this. He wasn't unfamiliar with this place. This place was also a forbidden land for life. Moreover, it was in the quintessential world. From the looks of it, it wasn't just the forbidden land of burial earth that had been revived. It was the same in the quintessential world. This time, It wasn't just one or two worlds that had changed, but the entire universe. Were they going to face a forbidden land for life? The Crimson Dragon said, "I'm afraid we can't beat it now." Lin Xian said, "Don't worry, we shouldn't be the only ones affected. The other remote antiquity and martial monarch clans should be affected as well. Let's join forces with them and attack together." Then the two of them returned. Lin Xian gathered the strength of the divine union once again. At the same time, he also sent a message to the remote antiquity and martial monarch clans to inquire. When he found out that, as he had guessed, the other clans and sects were also injured, Lin Xian understood that they could join forces. Qingcheng, send out the divine union invitation and invite the martial monarch clans and remote antiquity clans to discuss. After the divine union invitation was sent out, the martial monarch clans and remote antiquity clans all set off. Now, who would dare not give face to Lin Xian? Furthermore, the discussion this time was about this mysterious matter. Therefore, they were very cooperative and came quickly. In an instant, Burial Earth was shocked. Had they gathered in the divine union again, the people of the Purple Mansion were nervous. Was Lin Wuyi going to attack them? After all, they were the ones Lin Xian wanted to attack the most after the nest of 10,000 dragons. The Purple Mansion master snorted coldly and ignored them. In less than a year, they would all be dead. They just had to wait patiently. He had also heard about some of the strange phenomena that had occurred recently. He knew that it was because those people were going to come, which was why it was happening. Previously, his father had said that they would arrive in 3 years. Now, 2 years had passed, and there was still 1 year left. He wouldn't do anything during this year. When those people arrived, it would be the best time for them to make a move. In the main hall of the Divine Union, the martial monarch clans, remote antiquity clans, and peerless great sects had all gathered. After seeing Lin Gongzi, they all bowed. Lin Xian also said, "Everyone, I invited you here to discuss what happened in the Spirit Jade mountain range recently." Upon hearing this, many of the martial monarch clans and grand elders sighed. Forget about it. The losses were disastrous. Young master, we don't even know who the other party is. The martial monarch clans also shook their heads. The Yi family patriarch said, "We have no clue." Yi Wudao said, "Brother Lin, you must know something since you called us here, right?" As soon as he said this, the other powerhouses raised their heads and looked at Lin Xian. All of them exclaimed, "Lin Gongzi, do you know? Young master, tell us quickly. You are making us anxious." These people were extremely anxious. Lin Xian said, "Our people from the Divine Union were also injured, so I caught one of them and asked him clearly. The person who attacked us was the Jade Man." The Jade Man? Many people frowned. They had never heard of this before. Where did this monster come from? However, the old Phoenix Bridge of the Phoenix race narrowed his eyes. It seemed to be a 10,000 ancient race that had disappeared. That's right. The Yi family patriarch's eyes lit up. Not even half of the 10,000 ancient races had been passed down. Many of them had disappeared in the long river of time. The Jade Man was one of them. Had they appeared again? Damn it! The Qilin race clenched their teeth. No wonder they had turned into jade. These Jade Men had this ability. They had actually been ambushed by them. Cold voices rang out one after another. Obviously, these martial monarch clans had heard some records about the people in prison. Lin Xian said, "Since you know, it's easy to deal with. If they wanted to break it, they would have to find the original body of the Jade Man, the Sky Spirit Jade. The Sky Note race side. It was said that the Sky Spirit Jade was extremely mysterious and existed in any place in the 10,000 worlds. It was hidden very deeply and definitely wouldn't be found easily. How would we know?" As soon as this was said, the others nodded. The 10,000 worlds was too vast. They didn't have much time. Chapter 5561. Those ancient families and monarch families were very worried. They didn't have any clues at all. At this moment, the corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up into a smile. Don't worry, everyone. I've found it. Is that true? Lin Gongzi. The surrounding experts were also delighted when they heard this. At the same time, they were also surprised. It was too unbelievable. They had so many great emperor families and ancient families, but they didn't have any clues. However, Lin Xian had them. As far as they knew, Lin Xian should have been cultivating in seclusion before. He had just come out and found an important clue. His strength was really unfathomable. The Yi family's patriarch said, "What kind of clue was Lin Gongzi?" The people of the Phoenix clan were also looking forward to it. Lin Xian told them some of the information he had obtained. After the others heard this, they sucked in a breath of cold air. What? You're saying it's actually the ancient land of Taichu? Heavens, that's also a forbidden land, right? Yes, and it's not on burial earth, but in the true spirit world. They didn't expect another forbidden land to appear, and it actually condensed into the Jade person. The Kuan-Peng clan's patriarch frowned. The ancient land of Taichu was not ordinary. There were many strange stones inside. Perhaps they contained some terrifying existence. Indeed, some precious strange stones could be cut into mysterious things, and the best strange stones were in the ancient land of Taichu. Lin Xian had also seen some scenes through the soul searching, apart from the sky's spirit jade. He did see a few strange stones that were abnormally ancient. He said, "That's why I'm looking for everyone. Since everyone is attacked by the Jade person, we should join forces. Let's go to the ancient land of Taichu together." At least they had to hand over the antidote. Yes, that's right. Those families and sects also nodded. This time, they were already in such a sorry state. If they didn't take it, the Jade person would attack again. Then their losses would be even heavier. And this time, with Lin Xian leading, they were even more relieved. After all, Lin Xian had once challenged 2 forbidden lands. He was still alive and well. With this kind of strength, they were relieved. Therefore, they said, "Lin Gongzi, we support you. You tell me what to do." "That's right, Lin Gongzi. How should we proceed? You tell us." The people here were all old monsters who had lived for countless years, but they still had to respect Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, "Everyone, get ready. In 3 days, we will leave for the true spirit world." True spirit world. Their strength was also gradually recovering. Saints and martial artists could be seen everywhere. There were even some ancient existences that appeared. For example, some immortal foundations of the Yuhua immortal dynasty. Moreover, his sacred grounds had become much stronger than before. Among them, the divine palace had become even more powerful. There were also many experts inside. When they learned that Lin Xian was going there, they were extremely excited. The Sacred Hall was also considered a member of the Divine Union. However, because of the quintessential world, Lin Xian did not allow the Sacred Hall's experts to go to the burial Earth star. After all, the true spirit world was the origin star, a mysterious existence. Therefore, if they stayed there, they would have an unexpected effect at a critical moment. Peacock and Xingtian led a group of experts from the Sacred Hall and gathered outside the land of absolute beginning. On the other side, the ancient families of the burial Earth star were also moving. They met up with Lin Xian, and the group headed to the quintessential world. These people were very fast because the Yi family and the Gu family originally had a foundation in the quintessential world. At the moment, there were still many people guarding the quintessential world. Therefore, they all used the transportation array. They were very fast. Soon, they appeared in the quintessential world. Obviously, besides Lin Xian, These great emperor families were not willing to give up on the quintessential world. One could imagine how important the quintessential world was. Let's go to the land of absolute beginning. In the central region of the land of absolute beginning, a group of people rose into the air and flew quickly. Finally, they arrived. There were many people in front of them. The Kunpeng race frowned, and the Qilin race exclaimed. They felt that there were many experts. Could it be that the land of absolute beginning had come to intercept them? Lin Xian's eyes shone with the light of reincarnation. He looked forward, and then the corners of his mouth raised into a smile. He said that there was no need to worry. They were not from the land of absolute beginning. While the others were still puzzled, the experts in front flew over. These experts were very tall. Each of them was like a demon god. They had powerful strength. After arriving, the surrounding remote antiquity families felt a huge pressure. They were facing a great enemy. The people in front were led by two people, a tall man and a beautiful woman. After arriving, they bowed respectfully to Lin Xian, greeting the palace master. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were stunned. What palace master? They were actually Lin Xian's people. This scene was too shocking. Lin Wudi also had such a powerful force in the quintessential world. The Yi family and the Gu family were also surprised. They should be from the divine palace. They did not expect that they had grown to such a terrifying realm. It seemed that the current quintessential world was not inferior to the burial Earth star at all. Lin Xian nodded and said, "Rise. How is it? How is the investigation?" Peacock walked over and took out a scroll. "The information we investigated is all here." After Lin Xian opened it, he read it with his soul. It was all about the land of absolute beginning. There had been a change in the land of absolute beginning recently. There would often be blood-red light shooting into the sky. However, it all happened at night. It was indeed very quiet during the day, and every time the blood-red light shot into the sky, it would only last for a short time. It seemed that the land of absolute beginning had indeed recovered. "Let's go." These people walked forward. The land of absolute beginning was very mysterious. The ground here was brown and had an ancient aura. The surrounding mountains had a desolate aura, making people feel as if they had entered the ancient era. Boom. When they approached, the surrounding mountains shook like seawater sweeping through the 9 heavens. Terrifying laws covered heaven and earth. The terrifying power caused the surrounding void to shatter. The surrounding people felt as if they were facing a great enemy. They felt as if 100,000 mountains were pressing down on them. The people of the land of absolute beginning had discovered them. What should they do? Should they attack? These people gritted their teeth. Terrifying laws also appeared on their bodies. However, Lin Xian walked out and shouted coldly, "Land of absolute beginning, it seems that you have indeed awakened. Then send someone out." Boom, boom, boom. As soon as he finished speaking, light flashed ahead. 3 figures appeared. These were 3 young people. After they came out, their expressions were arrogant as they raised their chins and shouted coldly, "Who are you? You dare to behave atrociously in the land of absolute beginning? Leave quickly. Otherwise you will go to hell." As they spoke, these people also exuded an ancient, primordial power. On the other side, the people from the monarch and remote antiquity families frowned. The land of absolute beginning was too arrogant. So many of them came together, but the other party sent 3 young people. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He slapped forward with his hand. Chapter 5562. You're courting death. How dare you attack us? The 3 young men were furious. Although the other party had thousands of soldiers and horses, so what? The ancient emperor of Taichu was high and mighty and looked down on everything. But now, Someone actually dared to attack them. The three of them roared angrily as resplendent light erupted from their bodies. Power swept out like raging waves crashing against the shore. They could tell that the one who attacked was a young man. They didn't take such a person to heart. The two collided, and a monstrous power swept out like a thunderclap. Damn it, how could he be so powerful? However, the three young men's expressions became incomparably ugly, because the moment they collided with the other party, they felt their palms shatter. Then, that power tore their bodies into pieces. Their souls wanted to escape, but they were shattered by a slap. The three of them were terrified. They didn't expect the young man in front of them to be so terrifying, to be able to kill them in one move. With a scream, the three of them had their souls destroyed. Only a mist of blood drifted out. Were they dead? The eyelids of the clan of the ancients and the peerless sex behind them twitched. To be honest, although they could suppress the other party, they didn't dare to kill him. After all, this was the land of Tai Chu, and they were now in the other party's territory. If they really angered them, it would be extremely terrifying. After all, Mount Eternal and the desolate tomb had given them too much shock. Furthermore, they now knew that these forbidden lands of life all had mortal exalted existences. However, Lin Xian didn't seem to care at all, and easily killed the people of the land of Tai Chu. Lin Xian retracted his palm and looked forward. He said coldly, "I think you guys haven't figured out the situation yet. And you sent 3 ants here? What a joke. Why don't you film something more serious? Otherwise, we'll just walk in." A terrifying power rose from Lin Xian's body. It was as if he was a divine king that wanted to suppress the 9 heavens. The surrounding mountains shook violently once again. This time, it wasn't the power of the land of Tai Chu, but the power of Lin Xian's physique. Seeing that there was no sound from the other side, Lin Xian snorted coldly. He stomped his foot, and a huge crack tore the ground apart. It was like a dragon from hell spreading forward with its fangs and claws. The entire land was shattering. The surrounding people were shocked. No way. Was Lin Wuti really going to attack? The ancient land of Grand Primordium ahead shook. At this moment, a cold shout came from inside. As soon as this voice rang out, the surrounding heaven and earth quieted down, and the earth no longer shattered. The large crack stopped. Young people are too arrogant, daring to attack in our ancient land of absolute beginning? Who is your senior master? Get him to kneel on the ground and kowtow to apologize. Just you? Lin Xian sneered. It seemed that this ancient land of absolute beginning really didn't recognize him. He had probably just woken up and thought that he was a supreme existence. And you are not worthy of me taking action, but in order to punish you and to warn others, you can go to hell. A ray of light flew out from within. It was incomparably resplendent, and like a blazing sun, it shot towards Lin Xian. Boom! Lin Xian snorted coldly and punched out. The power of the divine body bloomed brilliantly, as if the god of the sun had descended, directly blowing away the dazzling light. At the same time, he let out a long howl and shot out a beam of sword chi towards the land of absolute primordium. With a loud bang, an earth-shattering explosion came from inside. There was also an exasperated roar. That voice was like the resurrection of an ancient, demonic beast. It was obvious that the person inside was shamelessly angry. And, "Do you want to die?" Lin Xian shouted coldly. "Do you have the ability to kill me? Come out, and I'll destroy you with one hand." Endless aura surged from inside as a middle-aged man walked out. His expression was somewhat ferocious. It was obvious that he was the one who had fought with Lin Xian previously, and he had suffered a loss. After coming out, his gaze was fixed on Lin Xian. Boom! A saber appeared in his hand. It seemed to be made of rock. This was not an ordinary rock. It should be a strange rock. It might even be a treasure cut out of the strange rock. The middle-aged man held the stone saber and slashed forward. This time, his strength was even stronger than before. It was obvious that it was just a casual attack before, but now he was really angry. Lin Xian laughed loudly. The flames that rose from his body turned into 9 suns that spun nonstop. At the same time, he took the initiative to attack. His palms turned into a demon god seal to resist the stone saber. "Ignorant ant, you dare to take my saber with your bare hands?" The middle-aged man opposite him sneered, and his voice shook the sky. The two sides collided, and the stone saber trembled. How was that possible? The middle-aged man was shocked. The origin of the stone saber was extraordinary. Just as he was surprised, Lin Xian shouted angrily again and threw a punch. With a clang, the saber shook. Then there were 2 more punches. The stone saber broke in the middle. The middle-aged man retreated and spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were about to pop out. Damn it, what kind of physique was that? How could this young man be so strange? Lin Xian had already arrived in front of him and stretched out a palm. The demonic aura on it was monstrous. The demon god palm. Damn it! The middle-aged man threw out both fists. His fists and arms were petrified. There were ancient runes on them that could break the sky. Boom! The demon god palm landed mercilessly, shattering his palm. The middle-aged man fell to the ground. He knelt on the ground and looked up at the sky. His entire being had gone mad. No, what kind of power was that? He wanted to resist, but he was slapped to the ground. Too weak. Lin Xian said coldly, "I told you to send someone with power. Are the people in Taichu ancient land trash?" A cold voice sounded. The middle-aged man wanted to die. He was actually slapped in the face by a young man, and he couldn't resist at all. Behind him, the emperor race people were also shocked. Lin Wudi's strength seemed to have increased again. His cultivation speed was way too fast. He was a monster. One had to know that geniuses cultivated very quickly, but at their level, they were already peak great saints. If they wanted to take another step forward, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. But Lin Xian seemed to be an exception. Lin Xian was stronger than the Holy Lord. He was the Triple Crown champion. Logically speaking, cultivating like this was very peaceful. Breaking through was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. But now Lin Xian's strength had become stronger than before. That was why they were so shocked. Lin Xian's voice sounded between heaven and earth, but there was still no response. Lin Xian couldn't laugh coldly, right? "I'll send him to hell. I'll only give you 3 seconds. 3:21 time was up. Lin Xian's palm erupted with endless demonic light as he struck out again. "Stop!" An old voice sounded from inside. It seemed that Taichu ancient land was finally going to send out a powerhouse. However, it was already too late. Lin Xian's demonic light directly enveloped the middle-aged man, destroying his heart and soul. "You dare." The old voice inside was instantly filled with killing intent. Chapter 55-63. The light in front flickered and turned into an old man. The old man was so angry that his body trembled. He stared ahead, his face frighteningly dark. "How dare you try to kill me?" he roared. "Humph! I said that I would give you 3 seconds. However, if you don't come out after 3 seconds, don't blame me for being impolite." Lin Xian said coldly. His attitude was very domineering. After all, they had come all the way here to force the Heaven Ascension Spirit Jade to hand over the antidote. This process wouldn't be simple. Hence, they had to be firm right from the start. "Who are you?" "Young man, there are some places where you can't behave atrociously." The old man's gaze was like a lamp. Lin Xian said proudly, "Me, Lin Xian, Lin Wudi, I am the leader of the Divine Union. This time, the Gu family Yi family, Phoenix tribe, and other great emperor clans have followed me. Lin Xian waved his hand behind him, and the people behind him stepped forward. A powerful aura swept out in all directions. The old man's pupils shrank, and his expression changed. Damn it! How could it be so terrifying? He had originally thought that it was just a bunch of reckless people. Who would have thought that so many great emperor clans would come together? These people couldn't be thinking of attacking the land of absolute beginning, right? Although they were a forbidden land and were powerful. If so many great emperor clans joined forces, they wouldn't be able to handle it. He gritted his teeth. Damn it! What do you want? Do you want to start a war with the land of absolute beginning? Do you know how strong the land of absolute beginning is? It's not something that your great emperor clans can compare to unless your ancient emperor is reborn. Otherwise, you can't do anything to us. As he spoke, an ancient aura erupted from his body. At the same time, many stone talismans flickered on his body. Lin Xian smiled. Old man, don't be nervous. We won't attack you for the time being. I'm only here to make you promise me something. Why was the old man frowning? Lin Xian said, I heard that the land of absolute beginning has a piece of spiritual jade that condenses into a person in the jade and assassinates people everywhere. Now hand it over. What? You actually know? This old man was really too shocked. That psychic jade was their secret. How could anyone else know? Moreover, they had just awakened in the land of absolute beginning and had yet to come into contact with the people outside. Who are you? How do you know these things? He stared at Lin Xian with killing intent. If you don't want anyone to know, don't do it in the first place. Those jade people are too impudent. They actually dared to offend us. He had even offended these great emperor clans. This time, I've brought people here to demand an explanation. Do you really think the land of absolute beginning can be so arrogant as to go against all these emperor clans? The old man at the front had an ugly expression on his face. He quickly formed a hand seal and sent a voice transmission. This news had to reach the people inside. Soon, another woman walked out from inside. This was a middle-aged woman with a phoenix crown on her head. She was incomparably cold. He said coldly after coming out. So it was the various emperor clans. Jade Man is indeed from our ancient land of Grand Primordium. It's just that he snuck out to play behind our backs. I might have accidentally hurt you all, so I apologize to you all. Everyone, please go back. What? You want us to go back? The people at the back were also in an uproar. Was he a beggar? The monarch clans' faces also darkened. Their great emperor clans had always been the overlords of the universe. Who dared to treat them like this? Sure enough, the Yi family people snorted coldly. Yi Wudao walked out and said, So, what if you're from a forbidden land? Aren't you a little too arrogant? The Qilin son sneered. Just an apology was enough. Hand over the antidote. The land of Kunpeng walked out and said loudly, Hand over the spirit-channeling jade. Otherwise, if we join forces, even if you're from a forbidden land, you won't be able to resist us. Do you want to fight? The cold woman snorted coldly. Do you think only your great emperor clans can join forces? Unfortunately, forbidden lands can join forces as well. So, if we really fight, it won't be just your great emperor clans. As soon as these words came out, the expressions of the monarch clans changed. The cold woman smiled. Of course, your great emperor clans are high and mighty. It's understandable that you're not convinced now. How about this? I'll give you a choice. We'll send 3 people here. You can fight one-on-one. As long as you can win, we'll agree to your request. We'll give you some antidote. How about it? This way, since they made a move, they would be able to probe the current strength of these emperor clans, and their foundations wouldn't be damaged. After all, they were only sending 3 people. The land of absolute beginning could advance and retreat freely. Sure, this was also a good opportunity. Those emperor clan people all laughed. They didn't want to start a full-scale war. Now that they were only sending a few people to fight one-on-one, they were still very confident. After all, the other party didn't limit them. They were only young people. The older generation experts could also fight. All right, everyone wait. After an incense stick's worth of time, we'll begin. The cold woman walked in. Soon, she arrived at the depths of the land of absolute beginning. There was a blood-colored jade floating there, emitting a blood-colored light. The cold woman said, everything was going according to plan. There were a few stones around them. They stood there, emitting an ancient aura. These were all very mysterious stones. A few voices came from inside. The people of the monarch clans don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. They think they can fight against us. This time, we've awakened. We want to rule the world. The monarch clans can't stop us. Another voice sounded. The psychic jade in the middle snorted coldly. He said, I sense that the person in the jade I sent out was killed by someone. Moreover, I sense that person outside. When we attack later, we must kill him and suppress his soul. I want him to live a life worse than death. The old woman bowed, respectfully. Yes, I understand. Then she waved her jade-like hand. The three of you come out with me. 3 cracks appeared on the ground, and 3 pieces of rock emerged from the cracks. The light on the 3 stones gradually became brighter, flickering like stars. Who is awakening us? Is it our turn to appear? Humph, I'll tear the enemy into pieces. The 3 voices were different, but they were filled with incomparable confidence. The cold woman turned around and walked out with the 3 stones. Outside, the people from the monarch clans were also discussing. They decided to see who the other party sent first before making any plans. After all, they had more people on their side, so they had more choices. Lin Xian also stood with his hands behind his back, narrowing his eyes. He wondered how strong the land of absolute beginning was. Previously, the people sent out by the desolate spirit in Mount Eternal were all double-crown kings. The land of absolute beginning should be about the same. Suddenly, someone cried out in surprise. Look, they came out. Chapter 55-64. The people from the ancient land of Taichu had indeed come. After the surrounding people looked over, they frowned. It was actually 3 stones. What kind of enemy was this? Could it be a strange stone? There was a terrifying existence inside. Could it be some ancient thing? Some people from the families and sects frowned. The people from the emperor race were cold. Humph, so what? They had never been afraid of anyone before. The cold woman walked over and said, These 3 are the opponents that I have carefully selected for you. How about this? I won't bully you. You can send a total of 9 people. As long as one of these 9 people can defeat the 3 of them, then it's fine. What? 9 people? Was she looking down on them? The people from the Gu family were instantly enraged. The Qilin son, Kuan Pum's son, and the others also snorted coldly. There were 3 people on the other side, but they wanted 9 people. They were completely looking down on them. No need, just 3 will do. The people from the Gu family shouted angrily. One of them walked out. Old man, come. This was an old man. The power of space on his body was extremely terrifying. It was Elder Gu Shao. Countless people exclaimed. This was a veteran sacred leader. He was extremely terrifying. Many people heaved a sigh of relief. When such a person worked together, the power of space would definitely be terrifying to the extreme. Was he an elder? The cold woman on the other side narrowed her eyes, but she soon smiled. It didn't matter, no matter what age or cultivation level. They could come. He had checked, and the oldest among these people was only a sacred ancestor. There wasn't even a quasi-emperor, and there wasn't even anyone who had 1 foot in the saint realm. Then how could these people be compared to them? If a quasi-emperor didn't come, these people wouldn't be a match at all. There were still 2 spots left. Who should they send? Some people discussed. I'll do it. The Chilean sun strode out. Now that his strength had increased compared to before, he was an extremely terrifying existence among the double champions. Moreover, he was the emperor's son, so when he walked out, everyone exclaimed. Although the Fire Chilean was not as good as Lin Xian, he was still a very terrifying existence. He belonged to the top geniuses. They all looked at the last figure. Who was it? Should they let Lin Gongzi fight? Some people said. However, there were also people who said that they were not worthy of Lin Gongzi taking action. That's right. Lin Gongzi is so strong. I don't think we need Lin Gongzi in this battle. Voices sounded one after another. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes at Leaf Daudenier. You just came out. Aren't you going to show off your skills? Fine. Leaf Daudenier said. Since you're not going, I'll go. The three of them stepped out and walked forward. Elder Gu Shao of the Gu clan, the Fire Chilean, and Yi Wudao. Two young people. The aloof woman sneered. All right, let's begin then. The first stone flew out, and a loud voice came from it. He spun quickly and turned into a burly man. The big man held the giant hammer and said coldly, Old thing, go to hell. The hammer struck out, emitting an incomparably violent aura, causing the 9 heavens to shake. So powerful. Countless people were shocked. Elder Gu Shao sneered. As he opened and closed his hands, the space was banished. Endless space power condensed and swept in all directions. The opponent was instantly banished. Damn it! The burly man swept in all directions in the space storm. The war hammer in his hand was constantly waving, bringing with it a destructive aura. Heavens, he could actually resist the space storm. He was really too strong. Was this the Tai Chu ancient land? It was indeed terrifying. Cries of surprise could be heard one after another. After exchanging 50 moves, Elder Gu Shao completely let go of his opponent. He won the first battle. Countless people exclaimed, That's great. Elder Gu Shao's lips curled up. He was just SOSO. The aloof woman frowned. Space magic. Was he from the Gu family? A descendant of the Void Emperor? His face was cold. He did not expect the opponent to be so strong. But so what? He was a senior figure. It was one thing for him to be strong. He should be a living fossil. He would definitely not lose the other 2 battles. So what if these 2 young people were strong? In his opinion, Gu Shao should be the one with the most terrifying strength. As for the other 2, they were completely useless. He really did not think highly of these people. In fact, it was not surprising. The Tai Chu ancient land had just awakened and did not collect any information. In their opinion, this world was similar to when they were in hibernation. The human race had withered, and there were no experts. However, they did not know that the golden era had already arrived. These people had already experienced countless battles and tests. Their combat strength was shocking. Therefore, the Tai Chu ancient land had really miscalculated this time. The Fire Chilean came for the second battle. On the other side, a cold voice sounded. His body also emitted a terrifying flame light. It was a kind of earth fire. Do you believe that I can kill you in one move? The earth fire in the sky danced over. The Fire Chilean sneered. He walked among the fire. With just you? I am the king of fire. With a roar, a Chilean rune appeared on his body. There was also a terrifying phantom. Chilean arm. With a strike, it directly pierced through the earth fire. The strange stone was sent flying. The strange stone turned into a pale-faced man. He spat out blood, and his face was filled with shock. Damn it, what's going on? Who are you? The Fire Chilean roared. I am the Chilean sun. His flames became more and more terrifying, sweeping in all directions. The pale-faced man continued to vomit blood from his mouth. The cold woman's expression also changed. This aura. Bloodline. The Chilean sun. He was the son of a great emperor. Damn it. His expression was cold. Even someone like his disciple had made a move. The Qilin's son won the second battle. There was still one last battle. The cold woman's expression became incomparably ugly. He had lost both battles. This was a slap to his face. The imperial sons had appeared, but the last one should not be. This battle was incomparably won. Moreover, when he saw the third stone, the corners of his mouth curled up. This stone was personally requested by the psychic blood jade. It was very powerful. Not only did it have to win the battle, but it also had to kill the person who injured the person in the jade. Therefore, this stone was the most powerful. It's up to you now, the cold woman said to the third stone. The strange stone nodded. I'll kill you in one move. It stared at Leaf Daudenier. Then it quickly transformed into a man in blood-red armor. He held a blood-red spear in his hand, which was dripping with blood. Kill. His blood-red eyes pierced the 9 heavens as he charged toward Leaf Daudenier. Leaf Daudenier didn't move at all. The blood-armored man's lips curled up. Had his opponent been scared silly by his aura? Fine. I'll kill him, then deal with the enemy. When he arrived in front of his opponent, Leaf Daudenier reached out and grabbed the spear. Chapter 5565. Stupid thing. How dare you grab my weapon? All the blood in your body is withering. Go to hell. He sneered and waved his spear. But in the next moment, he was stunned, because he discovered that the other party's palm was like a boulder, making his weapon unable to move at all. How was this possible? Break for me. The spear trembled. That power was enough to shatter heaven and earth. However, Yi Daudenier's palm was unharmed. Yi Daudenier said, You're too weak. You disappoint me. He threw out a punch. Behind him, the phantom of a divine king of the 9 heavens appeared, suppressing everything. With a boom, the blood-armored man was sent flying, and his body was torn into pieces. He won. That's great. He won all 3 battles. The people from the monarch race cheered. They heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, they were surprised. Yi Daudenier was indeed strong enough. He was the Triple Crown champion. As for the cold and haughty woman, she was completely stunned. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets. What was going on? Why did this person feel even more terrifying than the second imperial prince? Who was he? What kind of aura was that? It felt like the Triple Crown champion. Impossible. How could there be an imperial prince and a Triple Crown champion in this era? This was impossible. He roared crazily. Lin Xian, who was beside him, laughed. The ancient land of Taichu is really trash. Didn't you investigate after you woke up? Originally, I had high hopes for you, but I didn't expect you to be so far inferior to Mount Eternal and the desolate forest. Damn it. How could it be like this? The cold woman's expression was ugly. The strength of these people was completely beyond her expectations. It seemed that the changes in this era were greater than they had imagined. Humph, don't be so smug. So what if you've become stronger? Can you really contend against us? The cold woman snorted coldly. At this moment, Lin Xian walked out and slapped forward with another large hand. Damn brat, how dare you attack me? He roared crazily. At the same time, he also attacked. He pointed out a finger, which transformed into a divine sword and pierced toward Lin Xian. Lin Xian used the demon god seal and slashed out. It carried a terrifying aura, as if the demon emperor had awakened. The cold woman was disdainful at first, but when she really fought with Lin Xian, she realized how powerful Lin Xian was. How could he fight against such a person? Damn it, the Triple Crown? He exclaimed. Leaf Daudenier was already a Triple Crown champion, so who could have guessed that another Triple Crown champion would appear? And from the looks of it, this person was even more terrifying. With a clang, his finger was broken. Her scream was like a ghost from the 9th heaven, extremely ear-piercing. Not good. It's a soul attack. quickly defend. The surrounding people retreated one after another, preparing to defend themselves. Lin Xian sneered. 6 paths of reincarnation. Suppress him. 6 illusory worlds appeared between heaven and earth, spinning nonstop, crushing his opponent's soul. At the same time, Lin Xian attacked again. The demon emperor's inheritance reappeared, turning into a terrifying demon god steel. A black, heavenly steel fell from the sky and hit the cold woman. Boom. The cold woman's soul was first attacked, and then she vomited blood after being hit by a demon world stone monument. His body was completely torn apart. Damn it, you dare to kill me? She roared crazily. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The demon world stone monument directly suppressed her. Then Lin Xian walked over and grabbed her with one hand. Kill you? No, you're still useful. Lin Xian walked into the land of absolute beginning. The surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. The people from the monarch race also said, "Let's go, follow him." Now that things had reached this point, they had to continue attacking. Originally, the strange stones inside didn't care about the situation outside. However, when they discovered that Lin Xian and the others had entered, they were completely furious. Someone was attacking the array formation. Who was it? Inside the land of absolute beginning, these mysterious existences rose into the air one by one. Those were all strangely shaped stones. They emitted an extremely terrifying light, turning into rays of light that pierced through the front. It was those people outside. Damn it. How did they fight their way in? Could it be that they had won? That was impossible. Once we make our move, who can fight against us? Not good. Why do I feel like the array formation is about to shatter? Another round stone cried out in alarm. What kind of joke was this? Who could break through our array formation? Another stone that was as tall as a small mountain let out a low voice. It shook the void until it trembled. Just as he finished speaking, a rumbling sound suddenly came from ahead. Then, endless cracks spread out in all directions. The pupils of the strange stones inside constricted. The array formation was really broken. That was impossible. They were all stunned. In the next moment, they saw a group of people walking over. At the same time, an extremely terrifying aura of the extreme Tao filled the air. Damn it, it was an extreme Tao weapon. These people looked nervous and instantly rushed over. Stop. In an instant, 9 strange stones appeared. They stood between heaven and earth and were as big as small mountains. The small ones were only the size of footballs. Releasing an extreme Tao weapon here. Could it be that you want our human sovereigns to make a move? These strange stones turned into figures one after another as they shouted coldly, "Elder, save me!" At this moment, a weak voice sounded. The 9 strange stones in front looked forward. In the next moment, their pupils constricted because they discovered that the cold woman had been injured and completely suppressed. Damn brat. You're courting death. One of the old men slapped out with his palm. His palm was extremely terrifying. It was blue, like the blue of the deep sea. There were extremely terrifying runes on it. The origin of this stone was extremely extraordinary. Lin Xian snorted coldly. "If you dare to move, I'll destroy your soul." With a crack, the cold woman let out a miserable cry. The blue palm in the sky stopped, and the killing intent in the old man's eyes was astonishing. "If you dare to touch her, I'll make you die without a burial ground. Don't worry. As long as you cooperate obediently, I won't bother to make a move on this piece of trash." Lin Xian threw the cold woman to the ground and stepped on her back. Then he looked forward. All right, it was time to get down to business. When the 9 strange stones in front saw this scene, they were so angry that they vomited blood. Who was this young man? He was too daring. Lin Xian didn't care at all. He said, "Where's the divine spirit jade?" Tell him to come out." Hearing this, the pupils of the strange stones constricted. "Who do you think you are? How dare you clamor in front of us? You'd better cooperate obediently." The old phoenix walked over. That's right. Yi Wudao also walked over with his people. One by one, the monarch race and the clan of the ancients came to Lin Xian's side. Their bodies emitted powerful auras. So many people. What a terrifying aura. And I can feel the power of the monarch race. You're from the monarch race? And there's more than one of you. At this moment, the 9 strange stones in front were completely stunned. They didn't expect such a terrifying force to come. It was completely out of their expectations. Chapter 5566. The people of the ancient land of Tai Chu knew about the existence of the monarch races, but they didn't expect them to join forces. One had to know that the interests of these monarch families were definitely different. There were even grudges. So how could they join forces to fight against each other? But now, so many monarch families had come. The number of people shocked them. And from the looks of it, these people had already joined forces. How did they do it? Humph, who do you think you are? How dare you challenge Lin Gongzi? Hurry up and apologize to Lin Gongzi. The old Qilin of the Qilin clan walked out and shouted coldly. In front of him, the mountain-like figure was completely stunned. This was the Qilin clan. A monarch family was so protective of this young man. Could it be that this young man was an emperor? He looked forward carefully, but when he saw that there was a young man beside the old Qilin, he was completely stunned. That young man had the bloodline of a monarch, right? The other party wasn't an emperor, but his status was higher than an emperor. Who was this? The old phoenix also walked out and said, "Apologize to Lin Gongzi, or don't blame us for being impolite." Wow, the Phoenix clan was also protecting this young man. Lin Gongzi had once done them a favor, so apologize. The people of the Kunpeng clan also walked over. Next, the Yi and Gu families also expressed their stance. The 9 strange stones in front were completely stunned. So many monarch families were all standing beside a young man. And it seemed that this young man was the leader. Heavens! Who was this young man? Was he the reincarnation of a monarch? They were all crazy. Now, they finally knew why these monarch families could join forces. The reason was this young man. They all stared at Lin Xian, wanting to see through him. Lin Xian's face darkened. I'll say it again, and it's also the last time. Where's the psychic blood jade? Let him come over. How should I address you? At this moment, the old man in blue, who had attacked earlier, also spoke. This time, his tone was no longer as arrogant. Instead, there was a trace of shock. Lin Xian, Lin Wudi. So it was Lin Gongzi. Why was Lin Gongzi looking for the psychic blood jade? The old man even bowed, respectfully. His attitude was completely different from before. There was nothing they could do. Even the monarch families had such an attitude. This young man was too mysterious, so they didn't dare to be too presumptuous. Psychic blood jade. How dare you hurt my friends? I'm here today to ask for the antidote, and let the psychic jade to help my friends. Otherwise, don't blame me for destroying your ancient land. Damn it! The strange stone that was the size of the small mountain. However, he was stopped by the blue-clothed old man. The other rocks also wore cold expressions. They quickly transmitted their voices. What should they do? However, the sovereign of the human realm had not fully awakened yet, and was still making her final preparations. After all, that time hadn't arrived yet. There was still nearly a year to go. It would be great if it was a year earlier. Forget it. Let's take a step back first. Let's not have a conflict now. After a year, we'll make them all kneel at our feet. The strange stones discussed with each other. In the end, they decided not to have a conflict now, after waiting for a year. Therefore, they said, "All right, everyone, please wait a moment. I'll get the psychic jade to come over." The blue-clothed old man left to look for the psychic jade and tell it about the matter. The psychic jade was so angry that it almost vomited blood. Why? Lowering its head to a young man? And apologizing? Damn it, who did he think he was? One had to know that the origin of the psychic jade was also extremely extraordinary, but now it was too sullen. It was slapped in the face and couldn't even resist. There's no hurry. What we need now is time. We only need to wait for a year. Moreover, our judgment was wrong, which led to the current situation. Next, we have to properly investigate what's going on in this world and what changes have happened. The psychic jade had no choice. All right, I'll give you face. This time, I'll give in. But a year later, I'll destroy their souls. Don't worry, a year later, we'll rule the world without you doing anything. When that time comes, no one will be able to stop us. After discussing, the two of them walked out. When the psychic jade came out, everyone looked in front of it curiously. Was that the true body of the jade man? What a terrifying blood aura. This jade definitely had an extraordinary origin. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. That was indeed the case. He could sense that the blood-red glow contained within the sky-piercing spirit jade was extremely terrifying. Even if it wasn't the blood of a great emperor, it was still extremely terrifying. No wonder it could create so many jade men. You're the psychic jade, right? Hand over the antidote, and I'll spare your life. Even though the psychic jade was mentally prepared, it still trembled with anger when it heard such arrogant words. It almost fell out of the sky. It stared at Lin Xian. "It's you." It gritted its teeth. It could sense that it was Lin Xian who had searched its soul. Hand over the antidote. Yi Wudao stepped forward. The old phoenix also said in a low voice. The Gu family, the Kunping family, and the others all shouted coldly. With so many great emperor families appearing together, even the psychic jade felt like it was facing a great enemy. It gritted its teeth and said, "Fine, fine, I'll give you the antidote." Its body shook and blood-red light flew out of it, turning into jade droplets one after another. These jade droplets were crystal clear, and mysterious runes of the great Tao flickered on them. Put it on them, and they'll recover in 3 days. Great. It's the antidote. The large families and the clan of the ancients were overjoyed after receiving the jade droplets. This time, it went smoother than they had imagined. Lin Xian also took the jade droplets and said, "That's good. If you dare to play any tricks, I'll cut you down with my sword. Let's go." Lin Xian turned and left with his people. Throughout the entire process, the land of Primordium didn't make a move, nor did it stop them. The demonic world steel on the cold woman's body disappeared, but her eyes were wide open. Even the elders didn't make a move. Was this young man already so strong? After Lin Xian and the others left, the psychic jade roared, "Despicable ant! How dare he be so arrogant in front of me? I won't let him go. His name is Lin Wudi, right? Go and find out who he is. I want all the information on him." One order after another was given. The ancient emperor of Primordium's people began to search for information. This time, they were slapped in the face because they were careless and made a mistake. They promised that this would be the last time, and they wouldn't make a mistake again. Soon, all kinds of information about Lin Xian's battle achievements spread, causing the land of Primordium's experts to gasp. Chapter 5567. When the land of absolute beginnings saw Lin Xian's information, they were also stunned. They had not expected this young man to be so terrifying. Such a heaven-defying genius had actually appeared while they were in slumber. It was no wonder that those monarch races were afraid of him. It turned out that this person was too powerful. Tong Tian's spiritual jade said, "So what if he was powerful? When the time came, he would be the first to be killed." Yes, that's right. The eyes of the other mystical stones were also shining brightly. In the past, such a person could have become an emperor. Not to mention this golden era. They could not let him have any hope of becoming an emperor. These people secretly gritted their teeth. As long as the time was right, they would attack Lin Xian. On the other side, Lin Xian and the others had also returned to the buried Emperor Star. They returned to their own sects and families to rescue their clansmen. Lin Xian and the others had also arrived at the Divine Union. On the way, they opened the frozen palace. The ice melted, and the jade drops were injected into the bodies of Bai Susu, Savage Wilderness Ancestor, and the others. 3 days later, these people returned to normal and opened their eyes one by one. "Am I done?" The toad jumped up and took a closer look. Then it laughed out loud. "Ha ha ha, I'm finally done." "Kid, how did you guys do it?" Lin Xian told them what had happened. Bai Susu and the others were shocked. It had actually gone so smoothly. It seemed like the land of absolute beginning had been too careless. If it had been the desolate tomb or Mount Eternal, it would not have been so easy. Indeed, Lin Xian nodded. It was indeed very smooth this time, but he also said that. What he said was, when the mystical stones were communicating with their souls, I used my Rinnegan to capture some of their conversation. It seemed like they were saying that they would take revenge in a year. What? When these words came out, Morong Qingcheng and the others were shocked. They did not know about this news either. Savage Wilderness Ancestor and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. They would take revenge in a year? So soon? Lin Xian said. Not only that, I'm guessing that the change of heaven and earth is related to a year later. Therefore, we don't have much time left. Everyone became nervous. Only 1 year left? To them, this was the true instant of a snap of a finger. Following that, everyone worked even harder in their cultivation so that they could prepare for the upcoming battle a year later. Miraculous things kept happening in the universe and in the myriad of worlds. The others also knew that a great opportunity was about to arrive. Heavenly Saber Sect. The saber techniques of the peerless great sects were extremely terrifying. A team from the Skyblade sect. He had rushed over from the outer realm. They first went to train and gather information about the universe. When they returned, they were also shocked. They saw a jade rabbit jumping in the universe. Every time, the universe would collapse and the earth would crack, as if it was about to be destroyed. They were only able to return by luck. However, they had brought back a lot of information that might be useful when the time came. These people quickly returned to their clans. However, along the way, their shadows were inexplicably connected. He couldn't even move his body. What's going on? I'm being controlled. These people shouted in fear and anger, trying to escape. As a result, their shadows stood up and directly attacked them. These people were beaten until they vomited blood. Damn it, the shadows actually counterattacked. These people shouted crazily and attacked the illusory shadows. However, these were their own shadows. They couldn't move them at all. However, these shadows easily subdued and suppressed them. In the next moment, a trace of emptiness appeared in their eyes. Everyone was controlled by their shadows. Humph! Soon, the corners of these people's mouths curled into a sneer. They walked back. These people returned to the Skyblade sect. After returning, these people took out the information. The elders and leaders of the Skyblade sect were very happy. They studied it carefully. However, at this moment, their shadows were also controlled and attacked them. A great battle broke out, and the Skyblade sect fell into a strange state. Not only that, but other than the Skyblade sect, Some of the other sects and families were also inexplicably controlled by their shadows. This time, it was even more terrifying because very few people could escape. After all, everyone had a shadow. In the end, 50 families and sects were controlled by the shadows. They attacked at the same time. Their target was the great emperor's family, and it was the Qilin clan. When the Qilin clan was attacked, they were also shocked. Did these people eat the guts of a leopard? They actually dared to attack them. Kill. These people shouted crazily. However, among them, many people from the Qilin clan were unknowingly controlled and attacked in secret. This caused the people from the Qilin clan to suffer heavy injuries. Quickly, activate the apex weapon. Damn it, who dares to control our clansmen? They roared crazily. In this situation, it was obvious that their souls were being controlled. A divine furnace bloomed with light between heaven and earth, illuminating the entire world. The aura of the apex weapon swept through everything. The dozens of clans were forced to retreat. Although the Qilin clan had settled down, they had also suffered heavy losses. After all, this time, the disciples of their clans had all been affected. These people's expressions were ugly. In fact, their Qilin son was injured. He was injured by his own elder. As for that elder, he was reduced to ashes by the apex weapon. What happened? It was the Qilin clan.